Louisville, national champions, 1980.
Cardinals have won the national championship. 75th NCAA college basketball champions.
All right, everybody. Welcome to episode 50 of the Third Banner Pod. I wish that we were, I wish we were in better spirits to be able to celebrate being number 50. Ross and I, we talked a long time about trying to come up with some ideas for 50, but just with everything going on, it's just, it's too somber to really get motivated to celebrate. I mean, appreciate everybody that has supported us over the several months now.
Hell yeah.
Appreciate everybody and glad you guys have been along for all these episodes and everything. And you guys have helped spread the word, and hopefully we'll be having some better days ahead. But before we get too started up here, I just got one thing to say real quick. Well, Ross does actually.
I don't want you for Louisville basketball. Yes, sir. I mean, I hate it. I hate it so bad. Everybody that's been with us since day one knows where my brain was at, where a lot of us were. Wanted this to really work out. It's basically a failure to launch. If anything. It never got going. So it is what it is. I hate it. I wanted Kenny to be able to have this success and have the praise that Jeff Brom has gotten with the football team. Same story, but it's just not it, man. And nobody's bigger than the program. We'll love Kenny forever for what he's done for Louisville. And but it's time, man. It's time to step aside, man. And I hate it for you, and I hate it for all of us. But it's time. You gotta go, man.
Connor, what were your thoughts about last night?
I don't know what to say.
Well,
I'll tell you, speechless.
Speechless, yeah. You start off the day with all this Kuran stuff, and it made it so, it's hard to watch the games anymore anyway, but it made it so the game was almost irrelevant and took a backstage to another, awful situation that was, where we're getting drugged through the national media as some type of basic clown show because we lied about a guy entering the portal because we thought we were doing him a favor.
Right.
And then you watch the game and it was the usual, but that was kind of the icing on top of the burnt cake. The game was. So, not a fun day yesterday. And luckily, I'm sure we'll talk about it later, but we got some big football news coming up this week. And so that helped the mood a little bit.
Not even this weekend. We got big football news about 20 minutes before this started.
Yeah.
Ashton coming back.
Yeah,
heck yeah, buddy.
And I know you touched on the Kuran stuff, Pat, and I have loaded up here just the kind of the sequencing of events. First of all, we had the statement released by the university where they said the University of Louisville junior guard Kuran Davis has informed the program that he intends to transfer. We wish him support and well in the future. And then just a little bit later, Kuran goes on Twitter and puts out, and I apologize, this is a little small. It's my first time using the embed feature here. I'll make sure that's bigger next time. But it says, I didn't express to anyone at University of Louisville that I wanted to transfer, never asked to transfer. I enjoy being a Cardinal. The fact that an official statement was released giving false information is disheartening and sad, and which forced and prompted U of L to follow up. with a statement from the program. Prior to the program issuing a statement this afternoon, Louisville guard Kuran Davis was informed that he had been dismissed from the men's basketball team. Davis has expressed that he intends to continue his college basketball career and would pursue opportunities at another institution. We wish him nothing but the best. I mean, what a clown show. Like, how does it even happen? Like, it's embarrassing.
Yeah. I mean, one of those is clearly a lie, right? I mean,
are we playing two truths and a lie here?
Yeah. I mean, one of those, I mean, it just does not. I mean, somebody's lying. One of those is a lie. You know, I just the complete mishandling of the entire Kuran situation. I mean, it's been talked about already, but we've been talking about it since it became an issue where everybody was like, "What's going on with Kuran?" All you had to do was two things. You had to just leave an indefinite timeline, and you had to give a very vague reason. If you do those two things, this goes away. So you just say he's suspended indefinitely for violating team rules. That's it. That's all he needed. And the press could have pressed you for it, and you could have just still said he's suspended indefinitely for violating team rules. The end. Like, and you still have the story about he's still with the team, blah, 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 until you're ready to say he's not with the team anymore. But saying he's not in trouble, I love the kid, blah, 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 not ever addressing the rumors, none of that. Complete mishandling. Like, if you don't address those rumors, the silence speaks more than actually saying something and lying about it. I mean, so here we are now that we are in a situation where Kuran, you know, it definitely looks like we can talk about it. I know Pat does, but it definitely looks like he's got some representation the way everything went down yesterday. So we just look like our basketball program looks, like you said, Ash, a clown show. It's a clown show.
Yeah. I mean, but by not doing what you said, Ross, and addressing this when it like any other coach would address it, saying, "Hey, you know, Kuran's violated some team rules. We're hoping that he does the things he needs to do to get back in good standing with the team." When you don't do that, you set it up perfectly for Kuran to do what he did yesterday, to make you and the university look like an ass.
The bad guy.
That's what he did. He set it up perfectly. He knew what was going to happen. He puts his grades out there. Boom, my grades are good, so they're not kicking me off the team for my grades. Hey, I'm happy to watch the girls and my teammates play today. So glad to be here. You know, he knew what they were going to do. And because we couldn't address it like any other university would have addressed this, we played right into his hands of making us look like ass. That's what happened.
And you know, like, you know, some things you don't really have to. The profession of college coaching has been around for a very long time, right? Like, there are some things that change by the way you approach them due to the climate and the environment of the college game. You know, it's never stagnant. It's always changing. But some things you just do not need to reinvent the wheel, so to speak. And like there's a reason why coaches always handle this particular situation the way that they handle it, because it's the easiest and best way to carry on without all the drama. And it just feels like we tried to reinvent the wheel and how we approach this. And it just totally, I mean, it's so bad. It's so bad.
Well, you got to think that, like, if a guy like Kenny Klein was still the SID for men's basketball, that a situation like this would have never occurred. I just can't imagine Kenny putting out a statement like this without double checking that that the player is on board. It's just a zoo over there right now. I mean, what the hell is going on to where nobody seemed to have checked with him to make sure that he was understanding what was going on, because like they just assumed that he was going to go along with this. And Connor, you know that there's procedures and ways that a transfer even takes place, and there's things that have to happen in certain steps. So
the portal's not even open.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just odd. It was very bizarre. And I just can't believe that they did that. I mean, it's just very frustrating to me. And then in the post game, when the press is asking Kenny very direct questions on the day that all this media snafu happens, and then he starts saying that he doesn't want to dwell on it and that kind of thing. It's like, they're not asking you to dwell on something that happened a long time ago. Like, if this was something that happened a month ago, you could say that, everybody's dwelling on it. But it happened today, and it's direct questions from the media about something that happened today. So, like, avoiding the question, saying you didn't want to dwell on it, to me was inappropriate.
Yeah. I don't have much more to say, but it would, just like we've said 3 times now, it's a clown show. It's like PR 101, how they should have been handled. Like, it's not a very confusing situation, and we just took every wrong turn that we possibly could with this. Mostly,
well, I mean, and honestly, that I won't say that. I mean, that wasn't true for Chris Mack in every situation, but there were clearly some mishandlings in the way that he did things as well. I mean, you can always go back and find things that were handled the wrong way, because hindsight's 2020, right? But I mean, like, we just didn't have stupid shit like this happen under Rick. Not like this. You know what I mean? I mean, this is. I know I know that's a polarizing topic, and we got dragged through the coals for a lot of that, and we've come to show that a lot of that was embellished and made up, but we just have not been the same since Rick was let go, and we're just paying for it. We're just like stuck somewhere between hell and purgatory of our basketball program, and it just, until we make the right hire, it's not going to change. We're going to keep it. There is no, it can't, people keep saying it can't get any worse. Until you get the right hire, it's going to keep getting worse, because you're going to keep getting things that we're not used to seeing. So it's going to seem like the worst thing. Like, it's just going to keep happening. So we got to, this next hire is so huge. It's so huge.
Well, just segueing from the Kuran thing into you guys started on the Kenny Payne stuff. I mean, you can see the graphics right here on the screen. 8-34 now overall, 0-19 away from home, 22 losses by double digits. I mean, it's beginning to get absurd. 2-19 in the ACC. I mean, you can't win 10% of your games in the league. Like, sorry, Connor, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I mean, I'm sure you saw what Rothstein said last night. He said that you lose an exhibition and you lose 2 bye games, which I argue is 3 bye games. I would assume that DePaul was somewhat of a bye game at one point. So,
100, yeah.
So I'd say 3 bye games. He said, I can't use. I'm paraphrasing here, but he said something about, like, how he says, when everybody loses their bye games, epitome of brutality. He said, this isn't the epitome of brutality anymore. This is the gates of hell of brutality.
It's something, man, because it's hard to tell where the hell we're at. Like, are we actually in hell? Are we just stuck in just mediocrity in purgatory? You know what I mean? I swear, it's like we dip our feet into hell, and then it just moves us back into purgatory again. Like, we just don't matter at all. It's like there's a lot of us, we all love, we're just so irrelevant on a national scale. It's like, like not a lot of us really feel like watching anybody else play basketball. And for most of us in here, that's never been the case. That has never been the case, because you always wanted to see where you measured up, where your program was, and you're always looking like, man, how do we match up with these people? Like, what could we do against this team? It was just, I just don't even care. Like, I really don't even care. And, it's Ethan Moore over at Louisville Sports Live. he's on record. He's saying he's not even going to watch the U of L UK game.
Well, he doesn't do that normally, even if we aren't 4-28 or whatever.
He'll say it, but he usually watches. I think like he's not going to watch that game this year. Honestly, I don't think I really want to watch it because I just what is the point? Like, there is no point in watching that game. There's none.
I mean,
There's
look at
0
the
point.
we've lost to in the last year and 2 months. I mean, Lenore Rhine, Bellarmine, Appalachian State, Lipscomb, Kentucky Wesleyan, Chattanooga, DePaul, Arkansas State. I mean, this is unfathomable at the University of Louisville to have a list of losses in 14 months that looks like that.
But somehow we beat Western Kentucky.
You could show this list before Kenny Payne was hired, and I'd say in my lifetime, there's no way that we've lost all these teams.
I mean, even Denny's last season wasn't this bad.
Not even close. No matter, statistics don't always tell a story, but like you can go look at the statistics of that, and it's not even close. Like the worst Denny Crum teams, the worst Rick Pitino teams would have absolutely blown the doors off this team. They would have beat them by 30 plus. Easy.
Here we went to the NIT.
Easy.
Was it David?
We lost to Mississippi State, but I didn't know if you were talking about the NIT team, like Rick's first year or second year when we lost to Temple.
No, I was talking about that one, the one that David took. That team would beat this team by 25, and that team,
it's not even. I guarantee you that Wara team would beat this team by 40. Like I don't even say that half-heartedly because that team actually had shooters. You had Wara, you had McMahon, you had who else was running point on that team? You had trying to remember, drawing a blank right now, but I mean that
wasn't Tony Hicks, was it?
He may have been on that team, but I don't think he was the main guy. But that team had shooters, and this team doesn't defend the 3-point line. They don't. They had guys. Hell, we don't play defense at all. We don't play defense. I don't know what we do on defense. We don't do anything. There's nothing we do right.
The lane was open all night last night.
Yeah, and I want to hit on that too. It was very frustrating about that. Like I had a volleyball game with work last night, right? So when we get inside, we were kind of watching beforehand. Well, we got to see a lot of the end of the first half, and then we get done with our game, and then we get inside, and there's probably like 8 minutes left in the game, right? And as it started, we got to that under 4 timeout. And it was already happening before then, but like it was just a complete, just absolute quitting. And then on top of that, what's even more frustrating and more damning is that you watched Arkansas State and they were literally trying to yam on us, like drive down the lane and dunk the ball. They were trying to punk us so hard, and they knew it. Like they knew they were better. Like they felt empowered to do anything that they felt that they could do. Well, and that is not acceptable. You cannot have Arkansas State coming in here and punking you on your own floor, especially you can watch us or like you can see our players. We're more talented, but we're not the better team. Not even close. Yeah. Not even close. And they basically led from start to finish the whole game.
Yeah, and the score wasn't indicative of how bad it was.
No, we got drummed last night. We had 5 assists on the game, and 3 of those were by Tyler. I mean, come on. That game was bogus. Want to go ahead and bring on Kyle. He was able to make it. We weren't sure if he was going to be able to be on tonight, but he's able to join us here for a minute. So let's bring Kyle back on and get his thoughts on what's going on.
What's up, fellas?
Hello.
What up?
Y'all look good, Ross. I can't see your beautiful eyes.
Well, listen, Ash said, it's very somber. I mean, I say the future's so bright, I got to wear shades. I mean, like, I mean, I listen. I'm not excited that this is going to transpire the way it's gonna. Okay,
No.
I wanted this to work out so bad. I started out the show like that, but it is, to me, this is there's energy because you can see what's gonna happen. This isn't gonna last, and I don't know if we have that Goodman tweet that we can put on the screen, but apparently Josh Hurd met with players today and was having conversations with them. To me, the time that this tweet was released by Goodman, that is not a coincidence. I was telling people at work today that I thought we would start to see things slowly start coming out and disseminating into the public sphere tonight and early tomorrow morning. And sometime, later in the early morning, getting closer to, afternoon time, I think that we're all going to start to catch wind that there's something moving. There's something like really, really in the works, something happening. And then, you'll have your afternoon radio that comes on, and you'll get announcement of, something around like 5-6 o'clock that there's going to be an announcement. And I just think that's the way it's going to transpire tomorrow. I could be wrong, but I don't think it's a coincidence, because this is how things move. I mean, you slowly start disseminating stuff out. It turns into an avalanche within 12 to 18 hours. I mean, it's just the way it goes. Like, I don't think this is a coincidence that Goodman's tweeting out what he is.
Well, Jody didn't totally refute it, though, either. But he did say he only met with one player, not multiple players.
Well, and the other thing, too, is that you look, Jody, Rick Bozich, different people are deleting tweets, that had their thoughts on record. Like, to me, that's another thing. Like, if you thought Payne was staying, you wouldn't delete that stuff. So it's just another little thing, another sign, another tea leaf to watch that, I think things are probably moving. I know Hurd's been catching some kind of criticism and whatnot. I think a lot of that has probably been a little overplayed. I think he's just a guy that does things maybe a little bit different than we're used to. We're used to dealing with in Jurich in 20 plus years. But it just, I think things are moving, and I think we're going to see this thing kind of. We'll start to see the beginning of the end tomorrow. That's my opinion.
Okay, well, I'm going to say the beginning of the end really started going into motion today. I don't think Goodman's tweet that's true. I mean, he did meet with at least one player. I was told it was more than one. I don't really care. Either way, I know he has put the wheels in motion for this thing. I mean, I put a tweet on my own personal thing. I mean, it was kind of like light at the end of the tunnel. I don't think there is an exact timeline.
Right.
And what I'm saying is there are things being ironed out. I think certain people are being stubborn right now. And because of that, it's holding things up, which it's no surprise to me. If you've seen anything during this tenure, digging your heels in and not moving fast is just the premise of this entire tenure. So why am I not surprised that this is taking longer? Now, yeah, you have to figure out who's your interim coach going to be. I'll be honest. I've heard it's going to be Nolan Smith. I've heard that from two different people that I trust both of them. I had heard that originally the plan was hopefully that we could roll this out tomorrow. And I know there was at least one national person that had an article ready to roll, and they were going to push it out today. They were wanting to push it out. They were chomping at the bit to push it out today, and they said they're going to push it off, and it may come out tomorrow. So I think that this is taking longer than expected. I think some of that is due to negotiations. I think you're going to have to figure out how to get that $8 million is my guess. My guess is he wouldn't, if you came up to him and offered him $7,999,000.
He ain't gonna take it.
99 cents. He's not gonna take it because he's gonna want that extra penny. So there you go. I don't think that he's going to play ball. I hope I'm wrong, but I do know there was a thought that, hey, this is gonna roll. And then now all of a sudden it's like, well, maybe not quite as fast as we thought. So my thing is this has to get done before Pepperdine. You cannot go in there on Sunday with a coach that you've now got a national guy that's tweeted that that the AD's been meeting with players about the situation. You can't do it. It was already bad enough. But it would be par for the course for Louisville basketball to roll him out there after all of this. I don't think they're going to do that.
I don't either.
I mean, things have been so damn disorganized so far that anything's fair game at this point. I do think, though, that whether it's tomorrow or Saturday, you cannot go into that game Sunday with Kenny Payne as the head coach of Louisville basketball. I've heard a couple of people say, well, I've been here Monday. Well, maybe you have. I just can't fathom it. I cannot. Sometimes it's not even about, like, my information. Here's where it stops. I knew they were meeting with players today. I knew there was a national guy chomping at the bit to put the story out there that Kenny Payne has been let go at the University of Louisville, and he pushed it off to tomorrow. That's where my information ends. But I cannot imagine now that a Goodman tweets out there as well, which kind of lines up with a lot of stuff I was hearing is,
Yep.
and I mean, you can look at my Twitter timeline if you think like, oh, he's just piggybacking off of Jeff Goodman. I am not. Jeff Goodman's tweet came out, but now that things are rolling like this, if you bring him out there Sunday, like, I don't have to have information to say he won't coach Sunday. It's common sense that it does nobody any good. The players know now. I mean, whether he met with 1, 2, 3, 11, 12, 15 players, it doesn't matter. They all know. They all know what's going on. Once you meet with one of them, they all know. And so you cannot bring that basketball team out there on the court with a head coach who's like on, dead man walking. Now, it's one thing if you were going to keep him the entire season and reevaluate it, and it was most likely that he was going to be gone no matter what. We all know that. But if you bring him in there knowing that his firing is imminent, you can't do it. So it's got to happen before Sunday, or it's an absolute fail by this university.
Yeah, I mean, it's a disservice to the kids on the team and the fans at this point. If you let them go out there under Kenny Payne for another home game where, now you've got all this in the media, the national media and everything. And the crowd, I'm sure that's going to be there is not going to be very receptive. You're just doing a disservice to the kids and the fans by putting Kenny Payne on the bench for another game with all this stuff out there. And also we talk about, and we don't know that this is true. We're making some assumptions, but if Kenny Payne is holding this up because he wants the full $8 million, more power to him, but you're doing a disservice to yourself by doing that, because if you can come to terms here, you can help control the narrative. You can save face with a fan base that loved you as a player. And you can save some face for your next job too. They're taking an extra. I mean, let's say we're offering them $6 million, fighting over an extra $2 million so that you can get every penny is just short-sighted, in my opinion. It's not gonna. You're gonna lose stuff in the long haul. That's my opinion.
Somebody mentioned Zan Payne earlier, and I actually had a thought earlier when I saw the 247 report that he met with one player, and I was like, what if first thought was, maybe it was Kuran Davis with all the drama going on.
That would be funnier.
It's very possible. The funniest one would be, what if it was Zan Payne? I don't know, man. I mean, I don't know. I just think this gets done by
Here's a thought. Does Zan Payne go in the portal if he's a walk-on? Because if he's a walk-on, he can go in the portal.
I'm sure he does. I mean,
he can go in the portal the day that Kenny gets fired, if he's a walk-on.
I mean, that's an interesting thing to think about, but I could care less. No offense to Zane, man. If he wants to stay, good for him. If he wants to go in the portal, good for him too.
That would just be awkward. School just fired my coach, or fired my dad, who also just happens to be my coach. Am I going to stay here?
I'm
Well,
sure.
and
I'm sure he'll end up going in the portal if his dad's fired, and hopefully he finds a team that'll take him on, and he can, have another year playing, and hopefully get some playing time at a smaller school.
Well, and then if it's done Sunday, is there any chance that Cal opens up a job for Kenny to be on the sidelines on Thursday?
Does he have a spot though? I mean, I don't think that's going to happen. But hypothetically, does he even have a position open? Because you'd have to have the. And
he
I don't
can make one. He's got an NIL guy that left, so he's got an NIL position that can.
Yeah.
Surely not. I mean,
Cal's listen. Cal is the complete opposite of Kenny when it comes to PR. He knows how to handle stuff. That he knows that doing that would be a bad PR move.
I would say this too.
Actually, I think it would be
Payne doing that. It'll be a big stab in the back to us to just turn around and go there the very next game and play against us because they are going to beat us probably.
Yeah, but I think
that is just such salt on the wound.
I think Cal knows.
That.
Cal knows that would make UK fans.
Cal does, but I'm saying hopefully, surely, Coach Payne isn't that petty. Yeah. I wouldn't think he is.
Well, and Cal. Okay, when I say Cal knows, he's a PR genius. He's not gonna, if he cares about Kenny Payne, he's not gonna do something like that to Kenny, man. I
don't think Coach Payne would go that. That would be where look, I feel bad for Coach Payne, to be honest. I feel bad. I have said from the beginning, I was skeptical of this hire the entire time, even beforehand. But I also think it was a disservice to Kenny Payne to ever even put him out there as a lead candidate for this job, much less hire him. And that's no disrespect. We obviously see what played out after the fact. I mean, his connections were all Nike. He was a Calipari disciple. He had no experience at Louisville as a coach and hadn't been around the program in a significant way because he had been at UK and Oregon. So, yeah, I know he played here, but was that alone a reason why he should be considered? So you have all these red flags and things. And I feel like he was set up for failure. He had to take over a situation that requires somebody who can quickly rebuild. A quick rebuilder, that requires experience. You don't just come in and rebuild a program quickly with talented players without head coaching experience. You just don't do it. I mean, I guess you could throw a Jerome Tang out there, but I'm talking about an hour situation. We had a lot more hurdles to overcome. We needed an experienced guy to come in here and maybe take some lumps for a year or two, but who knew how to get a roster together, who had some familiarity with NIL in the portal. Coach Payne was in the NBA when that came out. So you look at all these things, and I guess what I'm saying is I feel bad in a way because people say, well, then he shouldn't have taken the job. I've heard that argument. Okay, come to me as a – hey, Callie, I'll talk to you. My baby dog is going to interrupt me. Okay, you can.
Hey, just lift her up. Yeah, I was gonna say, bring her on.
Come to me, and as a former player who's an assistant coach, and give me a head coaching job in my alma mater, who's a top 10 program of all time, and give me several millions of dollars extra, and I'm going to tell you no because I don't want to take that chance. Hell no, I'm going to say yes every day. So the problem for me is he just wasn't in a position to take that head coaching job, and we should have. I feel like we failed him by bringing him here. That doesn't excuse what's happened in a lot of ways since he's been here, but it should have never gotten to this point. Is my opinion.
I want to hit on Trent's point right there. That's exactly where I'm at. There have been rumors, and we may never know the extent of how true those were, but I think some of us have some pretty good connections and sources that Kenny, after he got the job, accepted the job, he went back up to New York, and we immediately started hearing that he was having second thoughts about that job. And there were some of his friends that were asking him, hey, step down because this is not a good situation for you. This is not a good situation for the program. And I think Kenny felt such an obligation to some of his other friends that were pushing very, very hard. Us here locally know who that is. It was particularly two people.
One of them out west.
No, I'm not saying one of them does or does not do radio.
Oh, I
That's
wasn't
not
even talking about him.
anybody that's here locally knows who it is. They were very, very vocal about it, have been vocal before in the past in other coaching searches about how it needed to be somebody like this. I know that when in the summertime, right, I shared my story and my experience of visiting the facilities, getting to meet the players, getting to meet Coach Payne, talk to him, ask him questions. Again, I'm going to like remember that for the rest of my life. But one thing, I don't think I ever shared this. One thing that really stood out and something that Kenny wanted to drive across to me and the other 20 people that were there was that the program was on life support and almost dead when it came to former alumni support. To me, I think that the former Crum players, and some way more guilty than others, guilted Kenny into taking this job. And they saw a way that they could get their foot back in the door a little bit to have a little bit of say-so, a little bit of political power, and a little bit of, benefits being reattached to the program. And I think they use Kenny, honestly. I mean, Kenny's a grown man, but people I don't want to say he was manipulated, but I think his friends, to what Trent is saying, set him up for failure. I don't think we set him up for failure. I think his close friends set him up for failure, and they failed him miserably so they could have their own selfish means. That is my opinion.
I agree, but ultimately the university has to hire him. I think the thing is, it was a perfect storm of people within the university. You have interims all over the map and leadership positions. Board of Trustees has a more significant role when that happens because they can't just lean on a permanent AD. Like in the TJ day, the Tom Jurge days, it was, hey, who do you want? Okay, good. Bring him on. That was it. Done. Now it's like you've got all these other people, all these hands in the pot, and they're all pushing for him. So, but the university ultimately has to hire, so they get some responsibility. Obviously, I mean, it's not that I don't say, the coach took the job knowing what was here. That's another thing. He told everybody it wouldn't be a big deal to recruit here. He did say that before he was hired. I understand the situation they're in. It's fine. Then you saw the press conference. It's fine. All of a sudden, once he gets here and starts getting going, it's not fine anymore. It's like, well, the time to realize that was well before you decided to take the position. So I can't give you that. But I can understand, like I said, where a man would want to be a head coach at his alma mater. And, there was a lot of historical significance in his hiring as well, which was great. It was a great thing, But unfortunately, I just don't think he ever had the tools that we needed at the time. If there was ever a time for him to be the head coach, it wasn't when we're at our lowest and we need extra coaching. We need more experience when that happens. And that's exactly where I'm getting to with this next hire here is we can't mess this one up because we're in an even worse situation. Like I thought we were in a bad situation when we brought the guy on. We're in a worse situation now. So now this hire is even more crucial than it was when we hired Coach Payne. So, that gets where, there's not a single candidate that we realistically have a shot with right now that every single member of the fan base is going to agree on. So it's going to be Josh Hurd's going to have to figure it out. He's got to do his homework, which I assume he's done. And we've got to really figure out who we have a real shot with. And then he's got to take the best person he feels fits us. And he's got to go full bore at the end, the best person that we can realistically get. And I mean, the names that have been out there the most. Not Shaka. Shaka's been out there. I think he's going to be a tough pull for Marquette. Mick Cronin's a name out there, but the buyout is a huge hurdle. And if we're talking about can we pay Coach Payne $8 million, I don't know how we're going to pay Mick Cronin $16 million. I do think Mick Cronin's interested in coming here. I think he was interested during Kenny Payne's hiring. He waited to sign his extension until after we made a decision, and that wasn't by coincidence. He said, I'm not doing it yet. And then when we hired Kenny Payne, he went ahead and went with that extension, which is where this huge buyout came from. There's a lot of misunderstandings too about the number. The number of Mick Cronin's buyout as of April the 1st of next year, it is $16 million. It's not $20 million. It's not $24 million. The contract is written in a way that can make people think it's 20 to 24 million. It is not. It is 16 million, but that is still a ton of money. The other names you hear, you know, so the other names you hear, you know, you hear about Dusty May in the background. I think he is a guy that's on their list, but I don't think he's towards the top of their list right now. Obviously, these things can change. You know, what if Dusty May makes another Final Four? I'm guessing that some people's perception will change. I'll kind of wonder if it wasn't just because he had the same exact team he brought back. But my bigger issue with him is that IU's around the corner, and he's an IU guy through and through, and their coach is in his upper 60s. So you tell me what he's probably going to do.
And he sucks too.
Yeah. Well, I think he's going to keep his job up there until he retires because he's at least getting them to the tournament. But I don't think he's a home run either. So, you know, you've got guys out there. Me personally, if you combine all of them, now people throw out Eric Musselman, I think, which I know Ross thinks we can get Eric Musselman. I question why Eric Musselman would ever leave his NIL situation down there. He can get any player he wants with the amount of money they have for NIL. We have
because Arkansas is not Louisville. That's why Arkansas is not Louisville.
You're right. They have better NIL.
But we don't have Walmart that's backing our NIL.
JB Hunt, Walmart,
Tyson.
I mean,
Tyson.
I'm telling, I mean, that's fine. That's fine. But what you're looking at in that situation is that Musselman's going. Arkansas has a really good, rich basketball tradition with Nolan Richardson in the past. We all know about the 60 Minutes of Hell. We all know about all that, right? But Arkansas is not Louisville. Louisville is unquestionably a top 10 college basketball program of all time. Arkansas is probably somewhere in top 15. In order for Musselman to take that Arkansas and elevate it into that top 10, he's going to have to be there for at least another decade. He's going to have to win multiple championships to turn them into a recent blue blood. That is going to have to happen. So it's a lot easier to do what you want to do and make that Hall of Fame run that guys like him just absolutely dream of at a program that has the name and the brand recognition already. Yeah, the brand is hurting right now. Louisville is hurting right now. But you get somebody in here immediately that will exploit the portal. You will see Louisville funds come flooding in because they will put all their chips in for that guy. And we will get the players that we need, and you will win at a high level because you'll start winning, and then we have the facilities. Like, it all plays into itself. It's not hard to see.
I'm a huge Muss fan. I think he'd be a perfect fit.
He's awesome.
It's not like I'm a huge Muss fan. I'm a huge Eric Musselman fan. I'm a huge Jerome Tang fan, but he only has been coaching for a year and a half. So it's a little risky, but so he's not quite as high. I've got like Cronin up there. I've got Musselman, but the reason I don't think we can get Musselman, Ross, is because I hear all your points about it would be easier for him if he came to a school with the resources at their disposal once he gets here. I guess my counter argument is he already, despite them not being quite as high historically as us on a tradition scale, he has all those tools at his disposal right now. He can literally get anybody he wants if it comes down to money. I don't think there's a program in the country, I'll be honest, that puts money towards basketball that would compete with Arkansas right now, NIL wise. And here's the thing. Yeah, I understand he's not making quite as much, and I understand his buyout's very low. I think he's going to use that. And I mean, I hope I'm wrong, but I think he's going to use Louisville to change that. I think
he absolutely could do that. He absolutely could do that.
Pearl thing all over again. I hope I'm wrong though, man. Like Ross, I mean, he'll be the first one I'll give props to if we somehow land Eric Musselman. I haven't included him on my list just because I don't think it's realistic, but I hope I'm wrong.
It becomes the question. look, we're in a matter of, like you said, this is arguably the most important basketball hire of U of L history, right? Maybe even in the athletic department sports history, because we are a basketball school. So we are desperate to make the right hire. I could see people. Musselman is a guy that's buyout is not that high, so you can afford to reach out there and give him a high number per year contract. Okay, and yes, Arkansas could match it, but it's a matter of, will they match it? I'm not sure. I'm not convinced that they would. I mean, I'm talking, would they match $5.5-6 million? Because I think we'll spend that. If it means getting Musselman, getting the right hire to change what I was saying earlier, to get us out of hell and purgatory and stop all the bad juju. You know, the guy can run a program. You know, he's going to go out and get players. He exploits the hell out of the portal. Like, everything will turn around for U of L overnight. So U of L is a program and the brand and everything that it is ready to go to make a ton of money. Okay. It is ready to make a ton of money. So you get the right guy in there, everything's going to bounce back in an immediate hurry, because the money is going to be there. So
Brandon, I'm with you.
Is Arkansas going to match that offer per year? That's the question. I'm not convinced they will.
I'm with you. I don't think he's going to leave Marquette, Brandon. I think he likes it there, but I would love that as well. Pat, Connor, what do y'all think about Muss or whoever else?
So I want Eric Musselman, and I said that last year, but I'm trying to figure out Scott Drew's buyout. And
yeah, he's another one on my list too.
And because Baylor's a private school, that's not publicly available.
Yep.
I think, and this is from state of Louisville, so I don't know if this is 100% true or not. I don't know if they got the buyout contract or whatever, but they said it's $3.3 million annual salary. I mean, and he signed an 8-year deal. I mean,
I didn't mean to hit that button.
I don't know off rip what it is, but I would say that it can't be more than Mick Cronin's.
When did he sign that 8-year extension? How many years ago?
I don't know.
See, that would be the question, because that's going to probably determine how much money up front. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So but I'm with you, Connor. Like, if I had my druthers, like Musselman, a Scott Drew, like those guys like that are up in my upper echelon, and I think they're reachable, man, because Scott Drew is from close in this area, in this tri-state area.
He's from Indiana, right?
I'm afraid
his dad was the longtime Valparaiso coach. You know, so I mean, this is his breadbasket around this way,
and this is my thought on Musselman. Just think about Eric Musselman beating Kentucky and taking his shirt off, running around the Yum Center after beating Kentucky.
You would be thinking about another old man with the shirt off, Connor.
There you go.
Yeah. Would you call us old hags?
Yes.
Look at that smile. No, I mean, all right. So I want to, you look at and I kind of hit on this with Kyle when we had our emergency pod the other night, but you look at the landscape of the college coaching right now, and I'm not sure there's a home run hire available out there, like a knock it out of the park. He's going to come here and kill it.
Realistic one, yeah.
So, I think this is where Hurd is going to have to really put on his boots, go to work, do his research, really get into the interview process of these guys, because you've got to, like we said, you've got to make sure the fit is right, and you've got to make sure you get somebody who's going to be here and who you're not going to have to get rid of in a few years. And are there coaches out there that I think can do it? Yeah, I think Shaka, I think Musselman, I think maybe Tang, I think Drew, I think Cronin, those type of guys can come here and win. But once you get that list of people, interested, you've got to do that research to make sure you get the right guy. It can't just be like it's been the past two times where it's all Chris Mack, all Kenny Payne. Man, you've got to have a couple people that you're more than a couple people that you're really looking at.
Yeah. And I will say too, like none of us know the complete financial situation. I do give a lot of credit to Prez and Jacob over there at State of Louisville. I do think that the numbers that they were tweeting out earlier as far as payouts and everything are probably pretty credible. But we still don't have, none of us here in this pod have the complete understanding of all the numbers. And honestly, Pat, if there was anybody I wish did, it would be you in this pod, because that's what you do every day. So, I wish that we could know that, but to me, even more than Musselman, a Scott Drew would be the absolute home run hire, even more than Mick. And I love Mick Cronin at this point. I mean, I'm gonna be honest, but his buyout is pretty hefty. And you got somebody like Scott Drew. He's got a national championship under his belt. When he took over Baylor, he rebuilt that program. That program was in disarray, and he's built them into a winner. And he's done it through multiple trial and errors. And I think he would be just an absolute home run hire, in my opinion. I think he's probably number one on my list, Scott Drew. Swear. So who knows what's going to happen?
I'm afraid he'll go to UK.
Yeah,
I'm not.
I think Chris Beer will go to UK before Scott.
Oh, I could see that one.
And I could see Holtman up at Ohio State going to UK too.
Yeah, but Holtman hasn't done anything.
No way they'll hire him. I hate UK. I would love it, but I hate UK as much as anybody. I just don't think they're that crazy. Now, Holtman would love to be at UK. That is true.
He's from Desmond County. He would love to be at UK.
Yeah. I mean, listen, Scott Drew's a guy you get to say no. But Scott Drew's been at Baylor for a long time. There's been big jobs that have opened up, and Scott Drew's name has never come up for those jobs. So that gives me the sign that he is Baylor 100%. Maybe.
I also don't know about his buyout. Like, I think they're private schools, so I think you can. I don't.
They 100%. They're a Baptist school.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. I don't think they have to have. I don't think that information is publicly accessible. So who knows? He could have like an $100,000 million buyout, and we could have Elon Musk as a donor, and he might not be able to.
I may be able to ask somebody. Hold on. I may not have the answer during the pod, but I may be able to get the answer tonight.
Why do you have people in the chat talking about John Wooden, going back and forth about John Wooden and John Wooden's dead?
I think somebody said Brad Stevens is available, which no, he's not.
Hey, I heard Billy Donovan might be available at the end of the year.
So that's another guys. Billy Donovan's not coming here.
No,
he's a Rick. No, I know Mick Cronin coached under Rick Pitino and respects Rick Pitino, but like Billy Donovan's like a son to Rick Pitino. And that's not going to happen. Even if, I don't think Billy Donovan has any desire to come to college, period. But if you think he's coming here, I think there was a time where that thought made a lot of sense when Rick Pitino was still the coach. And if Billy Donovan decided he didn't want to do the NBA anymore and wanted to come back to college, I think him taking over for Rick Pitino made some sense. But that is so far gone that it's just not even worth talking about.
And it's not. And, I got some friends that are big on that Billy Donovan train. And I'm like, look at how much college athletics has changed since Billy Donovan's been out of the game.
Does he know the transfer portal? Come on, man.
Right. Does he know? He's not a stupid guy. I'm sure he could find his footing pretty quick. But, guys being out of the college game and losing some of those recruiting circles, because everybody's like, well, he still knows everybody. And I'm like, yeah, but those people that he knew that were in influential positions before aren't in those positions anymore, because basketball at that level is always changing. You're always looking at guys trying to come up through the system, at the grassroots. So there's a bunch of new players that are running all the big time grassroots programs now that were not there before. And Billy Donovan doesn't have more than likely any relationship with them at all. Like, you're looking at a guy that's going to have to come in and do everything from scratch. Like, those things that he had before and those accomplishments, they speak some volumes, but they're not. He's going to have to work to build up those relationships again.
Yeah, I mean, Billy Donovan is the John Gruden from 20 years ago.
Or Bill Parcells. Or Bill Parcells.
Taylor, that would be me. And yes, unfortunately, I know all about Ben McCollum. Not that he's not a bad coach, but I know what you're talking about. We're not going to talk about that poster.
You know who we
have
have
to
talk
Ben
about?
McCollum. There's like nobody else that can be the head coach here except Ben McCollum, according to one guy. And it drives me crazy.
And that Ben McCollum message had to make me hop on, because like every time I see that, I just shake my head. Like, there is no way we are going to totally risk our entire future on the next hire that we make, and there is 0% chance that you can do so on a guy as inexperienced at a. Come on, I hope that Taylor was not really one of the people that have been behind that.
I
think he was just joking.
Kidding. He's joking. I think he's on the Louisville Rivals website.
I hope so, because I cannot get behind that. Like,
my username
every time I see that post
banner
online on the message boards, I'm just like, this is you cannot go there. You can't entertain that. You can't. And normally I'm one that's okay with considering assistant coaches, but not with where we're at. We have to go after a coach with experience and success in the postseason
at the D1 level.
Exactly. Yes. I thought that was clear already.
Ben McCollum could end up one day becoming a beast in D1, and maybe even then you can argue, like I told you guys, but that's just not a chance you can take right now. There's a lot of pressure. I've called this the most crucial hire in the history of Louisville sports, and I don't say that dramatically or without thinking a lot about past hires. It's just where we're at. The basketball program is on life support. It's dying. Right now we're a national joke, and it's going to take a hire that can come in here, turn this thing around fast. So I wanted to kind of transition into a guy that we kind of danced around some. I see a lot of his stuff on Twitter. A lot of people mention him, but I haven't heard too much. I know the downside to Jerome Tang is that he's only been doing it a year and a half now. So I get that. I get the risks there. But I can tell you one thing about Jerome Tang I wouldn't have to worry about. It's recruiting the portal. And I understand Muss is killing it in the portal, but he's also killing it in the portal with all the resources in the world in Arkansas. This guy's doing it at Kansas State, which I don't know what their NIL department looks like. I can't imagine it's better than ours, and I can't imagine it's better than Arkansas. So he's doing something there. He's cooking something. He's got guys that really want to play for him. He's got a lot of charisma, man, and
he does.
He's not at the very top of my list yet. But let me tell you something. If he makes a Sweet 16 or better, especially considering a starter on his team got
kicked out of school,
dismissed from the team by the president, not him. The president came in and dismissed one of his best players, and he's had a guard who is one of the top 3 or 4 players on a team who's been injured all year, and I think he's sitting at 9-2 right now. Don't quote me there, but I think 8-2. So they're 8-2 right now. And let's say he makes a Sweet 16 or better after making an Elite Eight his first season. Where are we ranking him on the list? Because he doesn't have a huge buyout, $6 million. That's not a lot for the average coach right now. He's a guy who can kill the portal.
I mean,
you get Tang and you get Ben McCollum as our Ralph Willard on the bench there.
Come on,
there's a good duo right there, man.
Honestly, I'm gonna be honest with you. Sorry, go ahead, Connor. Go ahead.
What about a guy that has his team ranked number 18 in the country? That's off the wall candidate that'll be shown on 247 in the next I'd say 2.5, 3 weeks.
This is Connor's favorite thing to do. Get people to guess on.
We don't know.
Mark Pope has his boys 18.
Oh man, I was looking at him earlier.
No. Hey, no, Ross, what were we gonna say about Tang? Let's stick to Tang right now.
So I will hit on the Pope thing because, we had a poster earlier today from social media that was talking about, what if I told you there was this person that is just over 40 years old? They've got the same record as, Mick Cronin, Musselman, and somebody else, but they there was something else, some other caveat in there. And I spent some time today trying to go through possibilities to make that thing work. And honestly, I couldn't find one, but what was close was Mark Pope, but he's not just over 40. I don't know how rich of a basketball family he comes from, but Mark Pope's almost 50 years old. The other one was Colorado State head coach Medved.
I would take Colorado State's head coach. They got some dudes over there.
Hey guys, by the way, anybody in the chat want to talk about Jerome Tang and their thoughts? Because we're clearly not going to do it on the Third Banner pod.
No, we're gonna talk about Tang. I'm just saying, I do not want. Listen, I watched Mark Pope on the 98 UK team. I mean, I watched him. He was good. Or maybe it was the 96, 97 team. I can't remember. But he was a good player. But I don't want a UK dude heading our U of L basketball program, because you best believe he still has all those connections. And I don't want that stuff. It would be counterintuitive to him to leak stuff out that was bad, but it just, I don't want any of that happening here again. We've already seen what happens when you get UK people on the board of trustees and you get UK yes men as the president. So I don't want none of that. That being said, switching to Jerome Tang, I would like Jerome Tang. He's not anywhere close to my first choice. He's not. He's probably in that 2B. If I got 1A, I got 2B. Like, he's probably in that next tier coaches, just because he doesn't have the years. But you're absolutely right. He gets dudes to play for him, and they play hard, and they play an exciting brand of basketball. So I think that he would be able to attract a lot of players to come here and come play with him. You would want to be able to have the money set aside for him, a big pool for him to hire really, really good assistants, that put together the real best assistant staff in the country. Okay. You would have to have that for him. And, so I could definitely fall in line with Jerome Tang, but I would put the caveat on it as that, as long as we swung for the fences first and missed, then I would be okay with that. I don't want him to be choice A, 1A.
That's what I said
I agree
last
with
night
that
too. Like if he's 3 or 4, that's fine. But we bitched about Kenny not having head coaching experience, but him and Jerome Tang have the same amount of head coaching experience.
Yeah, but
one's winning and one isn't.
One's way better than the other one, and he recruits way better. Come on, man.
Yeah, and I will say too that the Big 12 was arguably one of the best basketball conferences last year and has been performing very, very well. So for him to do what he did, I can't remember where they finished in the regular season, but he was able to parlay those learning experiences and those games, and he used it to catapult them into the tourney. And that means a lot. So that's something that we don't have in a coach right now.
Yeah, I mean, you've got if I'm looking at the pluses and the minuses on Tang, I mean, the pluses are, portal, as we've talked about, he can recruit that. He's shown that over the past 2 years, which we're in the portal age. The swagger is what you need here at the University of Louisville.
Mm-hmm.
Remember when UK didn't have those dudes?
Yeah,
Pepperidge Farms remembers.
We need that guy with that killer instinct. I mean, he worked under a guy we talked about earlier in Scott Drew for a good long while. So, he's learned from a guy that we really want, and is one of the best coaches in America. I think those are your three big positives. The negatives are like we said, he's been a head coach for 2 years. He's got that swagger, but coaching at Kansas State is different than coaching at Louisville. But that's going to be any coach other than a Mick Cronin is going to be taking that step up to the limelight. So,
to be fair, I think State was dead in the ground when he got there.
Yeah.
So that is one way to look at it. And he immediately, I guess the question we won't ever get answered, Pat, and then I didn't mean to interrupt you. I really did. Just real quick. The question that we'll never have answered is, can he sustain a program? Because we don't have, the timeline just doesn't add up. So that's a risk you'd have to take.
Right. Well, and again, but are there any home run hires out there? This is where Josh has to do his research. Talk to people in the industry. Hey, can Jerome Tang come to Louisville and get us back to where we need to be?
Well, to me, I think what I want to be seeing happening, and this is what I think a lot of us have been groomed to seeing happen, is that you've got a line of candidates that are like your front runners, but then you've got somebody that the AD is working on that backside that is like the real person that they want. They've kind of put up this facade wall to get the national media working and talking for you. And then you come in at the 11 o'clock hour and you make that big time hire. So I'm hoping that Hurd's playing chess. To me, that home run hire would be one of three guys. It would be a Scott Drew. It would be a Musselman. It would be a Cronin. I think either one of those would be a very damn good hire for us based on their pedigrees, their resumes, everything. Then again, you got your Jerome Tangs, your Nate Oates, Dusty Mays, guys like that. They're not bad, but they could be really good hires, but they leave a lot of question marks still to be answered.
Captain Hampton, pause. What are you talking about? Come on.
Steve
clowning. Captain Hampton, you are just out of pocket, to quote Kyle over here. Come on, man.
What about, and I mean, let's just say, I think he's comfortable at Marquette. I think he likes being there. I don't think he's going to take a second big job after what happened at Texas. We're a bigger job, and just because it failed at Texas doesn't mean he would fail here. But I don't think it's worth the risk for him. But let's just say hypothetically, I know years ago when Chris Mack took this job, Shaka Smart wanted this job. The name wasn't as attractive because he was running that old system at Texas, and he wasn't really getting very far. Ironically, he ended up being about what Chris Mack was here while he was at Texas. So that's weird how that turned out. But Shaka Smart, let's just say Shaka Smart's interested, hypothetically. Where's he at on your list? Because I'm telling you right now, what I've seen this year out of Marquette, I mean, you've got to continue that success, including into the tournament. But what I'm seeing right now, that system, it is the closest thing I've seen to what Rick Pitino ran here since Rick Pitino left.
So to bring up a point, because I don't want your all's feedback on this, because I really don't know, because I haven't gotten to watch Marquette, and I don't know much about Marquette. Shaka was a big-time name back when he was at VCU because of the style play that he ran and the points that they put up, but they also really embraced a lot of defense. I get the feeling that he's doing a lot of that at Marquette that he was at VCU again.
Absolutely.
They beat the shit out of Notre Dame this weekend.
Well, Notre Dame's pretty bad. They're one of the only teams we're predicted still to beat. So I mean, they're pretty bad, but
dominated Kansas from like wire to wire pretty much. They beat UCLA. They beat Mick Cronin. Now he came back and he boomed them. Mick Cronin's team, they were up like 17 or 19 points, and I'm pretty sure it was in the second half. And he boomed the hell out of them, and they ended up pulling that one out. They've had a couple of losses this year, but they've also played a really tough schedule. Has some big wins.
I've actually paid a little bit of attention to them just because his name keeps coming up in different places in the Discord and message boards from other people. And if you'd have asked me about Shaka Smart 2 years ago, I would have been like, absolutely not. Like my stomach would have turned.
Same here. That's
you
where
know, the
Ty
year that he
Elliott's
took-
at now, but he's not here to defend himself.
What I was
that
going to get at is you brought up a point, Kyle, about Dusty May, and you kind of question, even if they do well again, you would kind of put a caveat in there about him returning so many players. Is Marquette in that same situation this year where they returned a lot of the same players from last year? So he's got a lot of the same team.
They actually have a good combination of returning players and a couple of portal guys. And then
they got that Kolick kid, or however the hell you say his last name. He is 30.
Yeah, he's really good.
He is. I mean, yeah, you probably shouldn't be playing with these kids, but he's good. Yeah. He's a player.
Well, and then what I was trying to finish the point that I was making about Shaka is, you know, early in his tenure when he was at VCU, like part of the reason my stomach would have turned if you'd asked me 2 years ago is the fact that they just barely squeaked into the tournament the year that he went to the Final Four with VCU. And then they struggled then he struggled at Texas, changing his style, revamping his style. But if you remember, like he actually had a lot of injuries to key players while he was there. The one guard, I'm blanking on his name, but he came down with cancer while he was there. Originally, we were in on his recruitment. What was that guard's name?
I don't know.
He was a really good guard. He got cancer. And so he was out for a while. He had a lot of unfortunate stuff happen at Texas, but also Texas is never going to be a program where their fan base.
Andrew Jones.
What's that?
Andrew Jones.
Yeah. He got cancer. That was a big blow to his team. He constantly was dealing with different things that happened while he was at Texas. And, you know, Texas has never been a program where the fan base, you know, fully supports basketball.
They're always a football first fan base.
He gets to Marquette, and it's like, you know, he's at more of a traditional basketball first school. And next thing you know, he's got it rolling. You know, the style of play is awesome. It's fun to watch. I actually have watched several games this year, and it's been entertaining. They've been fun to watch. So if we were to bring Shaka Smart to Louisville, I would be totally fine with that. And I would look forward to watching our games each and every night, because I think that Shaka would kill it here because we're more of a traditional basketball school, and I think he would thrive in this environment.
Yeah, and here's the kicker with Shaka Smart. I mean, we know his style's fun. We know that he's had success at a couple different schools now. He's got experience. The kicker with Shaka Smart is he's only 46 years old.
And he's been coaching for 48 years. How the hell is that?
It seems like he's been coaching for 20.
Yeah. And so you get him here and he succeeds, you've got another, you know, Denny Crum, Rick Pitino situation where you can keep it rolling for 20 plus years, you know. So that's the kicker there. I think Shaka's probably right under, you know, for me, right under the guys I don't think we can get, the Musselmans, the Scott Drews, the Mick Cronins. And I'm not sure we can get Shaka either, but he's the guy, he's the 1B below those 1As to me.
Let me ask you all something. Who would you rather have, Shaka or Jerome Tang?
Shaka.
I'd rather have Shaka.
It's close.
More proven, right?
It's close. Yes. That's why.
But by the end of the season, you might flip, because if Tang turns around and has another deep tournament run, I might be saying, let's go get Tang. Like,
well, some of that's age too. Jerome Tang.
Well, and
he'd be 56 or 57 when he got here.
Well, and but here's the thing: we're going to have that opportunity no matter what, right? Because the next coach that we're going to get is realistically coaching right now and is going to be coaching in to late March. So we're going to be doing this for the next 3 months. We are going to be sitting here. Who's our next coach going to be? Even if we move on from Kenny, you know, if and when we move on from Kenny, we're going to be doing this same thing for months to come. So it is going to be exciting. I would think, to me, my perspective is that I'm watching guys. We have this like kind of bank of names that we know that are kind of out there. I would watch for those guys some of those guys that kind of slide behind. Watch those names really, really closely. And then right as we start getting into March and April, you watch those guys and watch their names come back up into the fold. Those are your front runners right there. Like those are your guys. So
we know
Hurd has all the time in the world right now to make that move 3-4 months down the road.
Yeah,
and all right.
We know who Bring Brong Home guy wants. He has endorsed Mick Cronin, so we'll see a lot of Mick Cronin hype from him.
Jacoby Myers just threw a touchdown. Holy shit!
But Louisville Go Cards is asking about what kind of damage has the current regime done to the program. Coaches around the country still view the University of Louisville basketball program as an elite job, so we don't have to worry about what other coaches view the potential opportunity as.
Yeah, and now that cloud, which I'm not sure the cloud was ever around, is gone. You've got no sanctions. I mean, you've still got an NBA arena. You still got a fan base that's ready to explode.
They're rabid.
This job is a top 5 job in the country, still, in my opinion. And
I would go top 7, but even, to play something else into that too, and this is why I've continued to put Musselman into that. I don't think he's unreachable. Again, like the best of the best coaches in the country, no matter what sport it is at the collegiate level, those guys or girls, they have huge egos, and they don't run from challenges. On top of that, when you look at how low the bar has been set by this regime at this point, how could you not come in and not be worshipped and be successful? I mean, you could sit here and give yourself the flu every week and come out here and coach better than what we're getting right now. I mean, like it's the honest to God truth. Like you could most coaches that are worth the salt could literally sleepwalk next season in this job and outperform this current head coach by at least 50-75%. Easy in their sleep.
Nick, you said Kyle and Pat in the backcourt, Ash in the corner sharpshooter, Ross and Connor are dogs banging down low. Well, Nick, I can tell you that on last year's basketball team, I would have been the first guard off the bench since we only had one guard. So I would have been. I'll take it, man.
Guards?
I mean, I don't think they'd appreciate it very much seeing me play on the court, but hey, I'd be first off the bench.
College basketball. Who needs guards? Who needs shooters? Huh?
Hey.
I want
to say y'all made a good point about like we're a top 7 or 8 or some people said top 5 basketball program.
Yeah.
Even at this point, well, you would be surprised. And, like I said, I've jumped on some other platforms, engaged with a lot of different fan bases with different thought processes. I feel like every group of fans I interact with has like a collective thought. And like when I'm on here with you guys, it's like, okay, yeah, we're a top 7 or 8 program. Even though we've sucked, we're still that program. But I go other places, and when I say that, Louisville fans say, dude, that is just not true. You're being delusional. We're nowhere near that anymore. It's done. So it's just an interesting dynamic where certain factions of fans think so differently than other factions of fans. I don't know what to make of that. My opinion is that, yes, we're not what we were when Rick Pitino left before the cloud. Like if Rick Pitino would have left on his own terms and after more success, I'd argue we'd be a top 5 at worst and a top 3 job at best, up there with anybody, especially with the way our athletic department was rolling at the time. So I think we've taken a hit. There's no doubt in my mind. But I still think that because of our tradition, because we are the only show in town, we don't have an NBA. We're a city, and a community type college atmosphere, even though it's changing over the years, we still are kind of looked at as like, We're not a big college town. We're a city. And we are the only show in town for sports, for major sports. University of Louisville. I think that's a big drawing card. We do have a lot of tradition. That tradition just doesn't leave just because in the last 3 years we haven't been good. So nationally, the perception appears to be, which I think that's where Ash is probably going with this video. The perception still appears to be like, hey, Louisville's a big job. It's just, I think some of our fans sell us short. I think they absolutely sell us short because it's been so bad. But you got to see the forest from the trees. You're looking at the trees of the current situation. You're not looking at the forest, which is like 4 decades of amazing success.
Yeah. I mean, I think you got to kind of compare it to Michigan football under Rich Rodriguez and Brady Hoke.
Yeah.
I mean, Michigan, big time blue blood. I guess what do you call it on the gridiron? Whatever. A top 5, top 7 football program of all time. They hired Rich Rodriguez and then Brady Hoke. They had one good 11-2 year in there that they went to the Sugar Bowl. Everything else was like 3-9, 5-7, 7-6, 7-6, 5-7, 8-5.
Yeah.
And then they went out and got their coach. They were always a desirable job, and now they're back on top. That is like what our basketball program is right now.
Yeah. I think it takes a lot more long-term instability and long-term despair to ruin a brand that is like U of L in the college landscape, because we are a basketball school, but Jurich helped bring this thing up so much and he increased the brand name that only helped the brand of the Louisville basketball program as well. So, it kind of all rose together. So it would really, to me, it would take, I don't want it to happen, but to me, it would take another 2 hires being awful to really tear us down. That's my opinion. And because I think the money's still there. And as long as the money's still there and the fan support's still there, it's an engine waiting to get diesel. It's a diesel engine waiting to get diesel fuel. I mean, that's all this is. As soon as you put a winner in there, the money machine's going to start just trickling again. It's going to go and it's going to go and it's going to go.
So as far as outside perception goes, let's see what sorry, go ahead, Connor.
That's exactly what I was about to say. The whole brand thing, John Fanta talks about it right here, and it's spot on to what we've been talking about this whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, let's hear what he says about it. So just the outside national perception of our program versus fans. It's locally.
Time for the Kenny Payne era to end. This is embarrassing. Louisville, you are a top 10 to 15 brand in college basketball. You have a rich history. This isn't working, and it needs to end now because you just lost to Arkansas State and to DePaul. You are the Louisville Cardinals men's basketball program. Your history speaks for itself. You had to issue 2 separate statements about a player getting dismissed from your team, and then you lost by double digits to Arkansas State. That's not acceptable. And the fan base now should have apathy. They're not even mad. They expect to lose. Under no circumstances should that be the case for Louisville men's basketball. What a disgrace. That needs to get changed now. It's time for the Kenny Payne era to end.
I just gotta salute this dude because he's got the basketball goal you hang on your door. I mean, that's like
as soon as he ends a clip like that, and he's got all this adrenaline. He goes and dunks on it, and then he does the poster sign.
Yeah, it's Nerf or nothing.
As a
Desmond says, it's sad for you that they never. Listen, Desmond says it's sad for U of L that never gave Kenny a chance. So my question is, I'm not crapping on this. These kind of things make me question. Desmond, if you're still listening, how long should we wait to do anything successful? Because we haven't done anything successful for for a year and a half, and it's going to be 2 years if he gets the whole second year hypothetically. How long should we wait? How long are you willing to wait and let our program get drugged through the mud? I'm not. Like, I honestly, like, we gave him last year and it was so bad. I would have been fine moving on after that, if I'm being completely honest. I understand why we did not. But for me, the cutoff is definitely 2 years. You can't go beyond 2 years. Yeah. But that's just me, man. I'm just curious, like, do you think it should be 3 years, 5 years, 25 years of being this bad? I just don't understand, man. Like, I don't understand the timeline we're looking at here.
And you can flip a roster.
And to add to that, how long do you let the
3 years?
How long do you let the local economy suffer down there because fans aren't going to the games? You know, this is not just a University of Louisville problem. It's a city of Louisville problem. The downtown relies on the arena. That's why the city of Louisville put so much money into that arena, because it would generate revenue for businesses downtown. And when your main tenant is not filling up but 1/10, 1/12 of the place, you are hurting the local economy. And so you have a situation where it's not just looking out for the University of Louisville. We've got to look out for the city of Louisville and those businesses down there too.
And there's only so many dates. There's only so many dates that you can have concerts and stuff in there. Like, basketball's in there, men's basketball is in there, 20 times a year? Then you have women's basketball that's in there another 20-ish. But, like, there's only so many times concerts are on tour. And you have to have, like, I wouldn't say the, like, pulse on the city, but, like, not a lot of people are going to go to some random-ass concert at the Center. Like, let's use Georgia or Alabama football as an example. They're playing Georgia for the first time in the regular season since Georgia's been really good in, I guess, 5-6 years. They announced that game on Tuesday, and within 2 days, there are not any hotel rooms within 35 miles of Tuscaloosa. Like, there was a point that you couldn't go downtown when there was a basketball game because you didn't want to sit down there for an hour and a half, 2 hours to get through there.
Yeah.
Like, that's where we need to be. And obviously that's not happening right now. You bring in a new coach, you bring in a guy that's going to flip the roster, keep who he has to keep. Things will change very quickly because you can flip a roster in an off season.
There's some people that don't believe that too. There's a lot of people that don't think you can flip
and that's
a roster
crazy.
in the off season. You can. It's not uncommon. There's multiple coaches that have done it now. Like, one person was like, give me an example of somebody had done it. And we gave him like 6. Jerome Tang's one. We gave him like 6 names of people that have done it. And we've talked about that on previous pods, but it can be done to Connor.
Well, and here's the thing too, okay? Yes, in the old climate, in the old environment of college athletics, there was like an unwritten rule that it was 3 years, right, for a coach. But then now you have the way that players can transfer and play immediately if they haven't used that one-time voucher. You've got that, and you've got NIL putting the money in there. Essentially, what we've all seen is that we have seen free agency hit college athletics, hit amateur sports. So what you're seeing now is a reflection of college sports and all the expectations and all of the responsibilities and all of that are reflecting what you see at a professional level, no matter if it's NBA, NFL, MLB. Coaches get 2 years tops to make it turn around. And that is the fact of the matter. That there's no way around that. That is what is happening now. It is not going to be the a normal thing to see coaches get fired after 2 years in basketball or football going forward, because you can flip a roster immediately and it's there for you to exploit, and it's your job to sit there and do it. Now, whether you get the donors to buy into you and to do it, that's up to you, and that's up to the university making the right call to hire the right coach. But that being said, Kenny absolutely mishandled how he approached the portal. He did that himself. He said, I want to build a program the right way, which, and the way that he emphasized it and put it into context was he wanted to do it the old school way, where you build through high school recruiting and you build through, traditional transfers. And that's just not what college athletics is today. I'm sorry. And he actually he shit on getting NIL transfer portal players. And you saw him
last year.
You saw him change that approach this year in the offseason because he knew he was wrong. And he probably got a lot of pressure about his previous comments about that and how that cannot be the same going forward. As far as, the Whiskey Row, and I know I'm talking, I'll let somebody get on after this, but to your point, Pat.
You in the Collins show last night.
Yeah, well, to your point, Pat, it's hurting all the businesses down in the Nulu area, Whiskey Row, 4th Street. It's hurting all of them as far as generating tax revenue, as far as people that are working in those areas and their ability to make money and their livelihood to sustain off of tips. It's hurting that, but it's not just there. Like, I was at the Blind Squirrel last night. I had a volleyball game. And when I pulled into the Blind Squirrel at 8:00, the Blind Squirrel is usually packed. When you pull into that parking lot, there's usually not one spot available. I pulled in, there were spots available everywhere. And when our game ended at 9:30, that parking lot was dead. It was absolutely dead. And that's out in Middletown. So you can't tell me that the entire city is not hurting because the Louisville program is not putting out a good product. It is. It absolutely is. You had the general manager today on the radio saying, this is absolutely hurting us. The general manager of Blind Squirrel was on the radio today, and I can vouch for him. Like, I was there. I see it. Like, it was 100% true. So that's happening all over town. So the amount of taxable revenue that's being lost because of this product is momentous. It is huge. So if you make that change, you will see, no matter what the bump is, you will see a bump. You will come out ahead if you get rid of Kenny Payne at this point.
Well, and I will quickly say that when it comes to timeline, how much time should he get? Not only is the portal and NIL a way to, move that normal 3-year timeline up to 2, but I argued that at the end of last season, he could have been fired because historically bad results require historically different decisions, in my opinion. Like, I think when you're so bad that it just defies history, I think at that point you have now a justifiable reason to move on. Then I do understand why we gave him a 2nd year, but I'll be damned if I ever understand why we would give him a 3rd. And I'll leave it at that. I know, Connor, you had something you were wanting to put out there. I don't know.
So yesterday, the NCAA got sued about their transfer legislation. Right now, there's a temporary restraining order letting multi-time transfers play for the next 14 days. Starting on the 27th, there will be a case that will grant a temporary injunction to let multi-time transfers play. So I don't know how long that whole court ordeal is going to last, but if you get somebody in the portal that's a multi-time transfer, he can play up until that court case is heard and or upheld by the Supreme Court, and the NCAA can't do anything about it because the judge struck down their restitution bylaw as well. So anybody in the portal right now is free game.
Well, and they're able to play immediately, right?
Yeah. So the example I used yesterday was, let's say Sky transferred from Illinois to Miami, Ohio, and then transferred here. And he was having to sit out this year because he transferred from Miami, Ohio to here. For the next 14 days, he could technically play and it not affect anything.
And then he just can't again? That's kind of stupid.
Well, the temporary restraining order is only 14 days long. There's going to be, and I think, a temporary injunction that will
that's what I was getting ready to say. Once it gets tied up in appeals, then it's just free market, right? It's just going to open up.
Yes. So portal season for basketball might get real wild.
Yeah.
I'm sure we've got dudes lined up left and right to come here.
Yeah, they've been lined up for a year and a half.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We're gonna put their.
Got pushed or Kuran.
I was about to say something bad that was gonna come off as shade, and I glad I didn't say it. So.
Good job, Ross.
Yeah, good job.
I would.
Got your shades on, dude.
Yeah, poker face. My poker face. My poker face.
That's gonna get clipped.
One of the things that was kind of the final straw for me, and Brian Dixon in the comments alluded to the fact that they hadn't, the team just didn't have any fight really last night. Last night's game really disappointed me in the fact that all year, even though we've been losing games, for example, when a guy drives the lane, a lot of times they would look to, hit a guy out at the 3-point line for a shot, or they'd look to move the ball and share the ball around. But last night, the body language on our guys was very poor. They weren't looking to get each other involved in the offense. They weren't looking to distribute the ball. It was like whoever got the ball, it was like a black hole at times where they were going to get their shot off. It just didn't seem like the body language was very positive last night. So you almost wonder if the team is kind of,
they quit
sensing. They're sensing what we're all sensing, basically. Is what I'm trying to say.
Absolutely.
Kenny Payne's press conference from last night, because that's what it sounded like.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about that. I mean, y'all know I called in. I was very vocal about it.
For 7 minutes, I timed it.
Yeah, well, that's good for you, man. I was the best caller last night. I'll just say that. I will say that
I was hugely rooting for Kenny. Like, one of my first ever memories as a kid was watching Kenny Payne on the 1989 team, help lead that team to a blowout victory over UNLV. So I have very, very fond memories of Kenny as a kid, watching him play and become a first-round draft pick for our university. And if you go back through the previous videos from before the season and stuff, you'll see myself and Ross were really, really high on the team. We thought that this year was going to be different. And I'm sad, honestly, really, how it's turned out. I'm sad because honestly, I don't think after the game, I just sat there. I turned the TV off and I just sat there for like an hour. Like I couldn't do anything. Like, I just felt frozen. So I'm sad the way it's turned out.
I don't think any of us could deny that there hasn't been in very limited, very limited. If you take little frames by frames, you can see little things where there has been improvement. But is that improvement just because the talent's gotten better? Or
our schedule's actually a little worse.
And our schedule's god awful, and we knew it before we ever bounced a basketball. We said, "Holy shit, that out of conference schedule is god awful." Okay,
we said we should be 7-3, didn't we?
I think so. But the thing is that you can watch at different times. Like, there was a possession under the 4-minute timeout, TV timeout. Like, I remember we came down the floor in transition. We drove to the left side. We kicked it to the left wing, drove in, kicked it to the right wing in the corner, swung it around.
Yeah,
went at the top of the key, and then went in and got a drive right at the basket. Like, it was actually good basketball.
It was.
And I'm like, and you're just like, what? What the hell, dude? Like, but the thing is that you have no confidence that they can consistently do it, which is the big problem. They can't consistently do anything.
Yeah.
They can't consistently get stops. They can't consistently get offense. And then as the competition picks up and the schedule gets tougher, even if the ACC's down, it's not going to get better because everybody else is getting better too. Nothing's going to change. Nothing is going to change. We are what we are.
Here's
under this coaching regime.
If we were looking for improvement this year from last year, we got smoked by Arkansas last year, Musselman, and this year we got smoked by Arkansas State. So,
I mean, I was unabashedly a Kenny Payne fan when the hire was made. Part of that is, yes, I'll admit, part of that was because most of it was because of the memories I had from being a kid watching him play. I wanted him to work, like I really did. But just watching last night, the way the body language on the players was poor. The fact that we're, I forget the statistics that I had on the screen earlier, but 0 wins on the road. That list of opponents that we've lost to,
19 in a row lost on the road.
You just can't. This is Louisville. This isn't. Maybe
it's not
Murray
sustainable.
Maybe Murray
this
State
is not sustainable.
Time, but we can't do that here. Like,
right?
We just can't.
So, any bets on when this will happen?
Tomorrow.
We taking bets.
Tomorrow.
If I was betting, I would say what happens Sunday determines if it happens before UK.
You think he's going to coach against Pepperdine after all these reports? I hope not. That'll be an absolute disaster.
I don't see the EULA board meeting on a Saturday though.
Well, can it not? Well, yeah, maybe
because they have to have 24 hours notice.
That's why it's going. Look, we've already seen the wheels set in motion with a guy like Goodman putting out the tweet that he did tonight. I'm telling you, we're going to wake up in the morning. We're going to wake up in the morning and we're going to have more news. And it's not going to be a coincidence because Louisville and Louisville people will have gotten in touch with the right people to leak the information that they want, and they will leak it out as they want it to leak out. And this is the way it always goes. Now, if it doesn't happen tomorrow, then I'm just wrong, right? I'm just wrong. Like, that's fine. I have no problems in saying that. I'll eat crow. But I feel like we've all seen this, not just in our program and other programs. This is how it works. Tomorrow morning, I expect to wake up.
A matter of days, yeah.
I expect to wake up tomorrow morning, and we're going to have some new leads, and then that's going to correspond into a late morning, early afternoon. That it sounds like that there's a board of trustees meeting scheduled for like 4 or 5 o'clock, and then we're going to get an announcement between 5 and 6 o'clock, just like you've been saying, Connor. Get a 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock news dump. Bam. Done.
By the way, we fired Kenny.
Steve, you say Danny Manning. I'm letting you just, I know it's whatever I've heard, but everybody's got people they've heard stuff from. But I'm just going to say what I heard, and I have full trust in what I heard was that it would be Nolan Smith that would indeed take over. I know Danny Manning was who a lot of people guess. I think it will be Nolan Smith. I guess we'll see.
Yeah,
I mean, honestly, the rational and most logical decision is Danny Manning, since he's already done this twice. He's already been in this position more than once. Yeah. So that makes sense. But if you're looking to get a bump from the local crowd and come out and support the local ties of Nolan and his dad being a Cardinal great and all the memories there, and we have the stories about they're rumors at this point. We'll just say they are rumors, okay? But Nolan was doing his job, getting players lined up to come be Louisville Cardinals, and then other people weren't closing the deal to get those players to be Louisville Cardinals. And then that ultimately, that plus other things resulted in, Nolan trying to go and get that other job at the NBA DL level or the G League, whatever the hell you want to call it this day and age. Nolan makes sense because I don't see anything from the sense that Nolan hasn't quit working. Yeah, he might like lack some experience about when to intervene and when to put his put his nose in there in practices and whatnot. Some of us heard a lot of that, but people have different opinions. But if you're looking to get that bump in revenue, Nolan Smith's the answer. He's the answer.
So Connor, answer me is, can he not be fired on Saturday?
Sorry. That was me reacting to a Fat Man touchdown going up 56-7.
Well,
so
I'll give a little bit of insight here too. Like,
okay,
they can come to. They may not be able to get the formal board approval, but they can call every board member and know what the board member is going to say and have all that ironed out so that the board meeting is actually just a formality.
You can get it. You can get an informal vote.
I guess what I'm asking is, if he doesn't get fired Friday, does he have to go through the weekend? My big thing is, I think the worst thing we can do for both parties, for the coach, for the fans, for the players, the worst thing we can do is bring him out there after that Jeff Goodman leak. It was heading that way. I mean, we all knew it even before the Goodman thing. Now it's like out there. Like, that's the first thing where it's like, okay, there are steps being taken right now to get this done. Things have been bad enough, especially yesterday was a bad day outside of the game. Like, I don't even care what happened. And then it was a bad day on the court. So
I mean, everything was like a culmination.
Yeah, what do you think is going to happen if you bring him out there Sunday, knowing that Josh Hurd's been meeting with players and talking about the next step? And
it's a train wreck.
I guess that's why I keep asking, and the reason I keep asking is because I understand the report on 247. The report was like, there's a lot that needs to happen. It probably won't happen tomorrow, is what it basically said. And if that's not the case, I mean, you'd have to think, God, it'd have to be done by Saturday. You can't, and you really don't want to go into Sunday morning on game day and do it if you don't have to.
You mean you don't want to fire him like 3 hours before the game?
I mean, hey, my birthday is on Sunday, and I don't mean like I'd celebrate that he's fired. I just mean, I would be celebrating the fact that we are taking a step towards moving on. But
coaches don't get fired on weekends, generally speaking, unless it's something very controversial. Very controversial.
Like, I think Beard was fired on a Saturday or a Sunday.
So basically, you're
because why?
It's going to either be tomorrow or he's going to be coaching against Pepperdine. That's what you're telling me.
Pretty much. And
then if he beats Pepperdine,
what thing? You got to fire him after a win?
Yeah,
I mean, what does a win against Pepperdine do, though?
Nothing. But
nothing.
The perception is you waited till the man won a game finally, and now you're going to fire him.
It'd be awful. It's PR. It's just bad PR to do that.
If you're Louisville, if you're looking at bargaining chips and you're looking at strengths of negotiating power, Louisville has the most upper hand that they could have right now. They have nothing to gain by letting him coach the next 2 games. Honestly, nothing.
They might get more ticket sales on Thursday.
They're not, though. They're not. If you fire him before the game, you will get a bump in Louisville fans in there than what you're going to have at this point.
Because if not, it's going to be all blue.
Well, it's gonna be all blue anyways, no matter what Louisville does at this point. It's gonna be mostly blue. So I don't buy into that. But I
will do everything I can to go that game if we can make to that point.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way. I'm sorry. I think it happens tomorrow. I mean, everything. It just seems to line up. And, to me, it's I think you'll have some misdirection. You'll say hey, it's not going to happen. Look this way. And then, hey, we're going to zag. And again, I think we're going to wake up in the morning. We're going to wake up in the morning and we're going to have a little bit of news disseminating out. And it's not going to be on accident. It's going to be on purpose. All the Louisville people and the Louisville department are going to want that to get out, and it's going to start a snowball avalanche of information that gets trickled out throughout the day.
Mark said
Yeah,
Ty
and-
Spalding has some new info. Well, I would suggest going to Rivals if Ty Spalding's got, hey, subscribe. Ty Spalding gets a lot of good information.
Absolutely. He's been killing it.
He's
He's
been
been
hard. Like
been
he works
killing
hard
it.
to get the stuff he gets. I know that. That being
Desmond, I
said,
totally agree. I just want to say I totally agree. It's sad, and we're all hurting. Cardinal Nation's hurting. And thank you for joining. I'm not sure if I don't remember seeing you in the chat comments before, but thank you for joining, and thank you for commenting and participating. And please watch this in the future because we appreciate your comments and your views. Yeah, but we're all hurting with you, and
it is sad.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. I was just gonna say real quick, based on what we just said with the timelines, I've now revised because I was thinking this might drag into Saturday. I think it'll have to be tomorrow. I don't think you can bring them out there Sunday with these leaks, and I think those leaks were probably put out there with the intention of expediting this.
Absolutely.
I think it'll be tomorrow now. I'm guessing tomorrow afternoon, maybe I don't know. It might be a Scott Satterfield thing where you wake up and you're on your way to work.
That would be
I don't
great.
think it will be.
That would be lovely.
Dude, I was on the way to work and they were like, Scott Satterfield. I remember exactly where I was. I was on Hurstbourne / Fern Valley Road coming up on damn it!
Where you were?
I know the light. It's right there. It's right there at GE. I was pulling up right there, and they're like, "Scott Satterfield is taking the Cincinnati job," and I was like, "What?" I was like, "Yes!" I was so excited. I was like, "Yes, yes, yes!"
I woke up to a text.
Pepperdine game's on my birthday. I'll go if we make a change.
Listen, I woke up to a text that morning with no context that just said "Sat is gone," and I'm like, "What the hell is going on?"
I've been thinking about this all evening. Once it came out that the athletic director is starting to actually meet with players,
that's the beginning of the end.
At that point, there's a point of no return because the players then know what's what. I mean, they're not dumb kids. They're educated kids. They're in college. They're young adults. They know what's up. And once you start talking to players about removing the head coach, they're no longer going to put as much respect into the coach. And
you've superseded their respect.
It undermines the authority. So you're going to have to make the change.
Yeah, like it's happening tomorrow. And like that's exactly it, Ash. That is exactly it. Like you can't go back from that report. And again, like I've said all evening, there's a reason that we told Goodman that happened. We are moving forward. We're going to get it tomorrow. What's up, Pat?
Yeah, no, I think tomorrow's the day, and I kind of want to go back to Desmond here and his "it's just sad" comment because listen, we're passionate people. You're going to hear us today and in the past talk about a need for a change and talk about what Kenny's done wrong and stuff like that. But the truth of the matter is this situation is a sad situation. We brought an ex-player in here to be our first black coach at a storied program like this. So I'm not a black man, obviously, but I'm sure that is. I'm sure that's a big thing. It's a big thing for me as a white man to see a black coach at our university. I'm sure it's big for the black community here. And even with that aside, just seeing a former player that, obviously was well-liked, played on a championship team, I wish this would have worked out. It would have been awesome.
Absolutely.
It worked out. And it's definitely a sad situation that again, we're on here and we're talking and we're looking forward and stuff, but I do want to say that, it's not because we're ignoring the fact that this sucks that it didn't work out, because I think we all think here that we wish it did work out.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Ash.
I'd like to invite Desmond. I'm going to drop the link in the chat. Desmond, if you'd like to come on and just kind of give some of your thoughts on the way things have transpired, give a voice to that. I'm going to drop the link to their StreamYard, and if you'd like to join and just say a few words,
come in and talk to us, buddy. Yeah,
I'm going to drop the link right now for you. And if you'd like to come on and just say a few words, feel free.
I know we talked a lot about basketball.
Football's killing
it. And this weekend's if Kenny's gone tomorrow and the football commit and the football guys that are coming in this weekend commit, whoo boy.
You see, we got a potential center out of Northern Illinois who entered a portal and put a no contact, and he's visiting us tomorrow. And he started
I'm gonna go
almost every game.
What's his? I gotta know his size, and I need to know his offer list since he's hit the portal.
I'm gonna go I'm gonna go out on a limb and say, he's coming to us. If you have a no contact thing on your portal, he's coming.
All right, here's Desmond. He's joined us. I'm gonna go ahead and bring Desmond on to talk about the coach thing. Desmond, thanks for joining us.
What's up, man?
How y'all doing?
Good.
Hey, thanks for coming on, man. Appreciate you.
No problem. I appreciate you. Now, I don't. How can I say it? I don't want to say but because it is. How can I say it? I kind of hurt because as a black man, I really wanted him to succeed, and
yes.
And how can I say this? There's a double standard in sports dealing with black coaches, and it seems like it always happens. We try, black coaches to try to win, but then they don't win. It's like they don't give them long enough. And with the white coaches, they give them, for example, Crackthorpe.
Mm-hmm.
They gave him chance after chance, you know what I'm saying? And we wasn't that good, you know what I'm saying? With Crackthorpe, it's
terrible. Crackthorpe.
Yeah, let's give him
after 1 year.
they give him a chance, you know what I'm saying? But then that, you know what I'm saying? Then with, for example, Ryan Cooper, we gave him 2 years. He won his first year.
He had
3 years.
3?
Hey,
was it
Desmond,
3?
It was 3.
Let me tell you something. There's a lot more of us on your side than you maybe realize. I'm gonna say it from my point of view and my perspective. What you're talking about is a lot of the BS that we've always the double standard, as far as that goes all the way back to the Tuskegee Airmen program. A black man can't fly a plane, and then a white man, if he messes up, it's for a different reason. We see it with Lamar Jackson at the Ravens.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's a double standard. He doesn't have receivers to throw to. It's because he's inaccurate. Josh Allen's got receivers, and it's just he doesn't have time to throw. It's always something else. So I'm not speaking for everybody else on this pod, but for me, that's where my mind's at, and I'm completely on board with you because I'm with you. That being said, the longer this goes, the longer that herd lets this drag out, there's no way that you can say that there's, to me, I don't know. I could be wrong. I'm not you. I'm not, again, like what Pat said, I'm not a black man. I didn't grow up a black man, but
obviously, Ross,
the longer this goes on, it's less about race and it's just more about incompetence and the inability to do the job. And we can all see the Louisville fan base is not stupid. We know what success looks like, and this isn't it. We know that. We can see it from outside. We can see how things are being handled. We can see it from the play on the court. This just isn't it. And it's not. It's just not it.
I can see that, but it's just I just want him to see because it's like his first job. You know what I'm saying? It's like, what if somebody offer you the head coaching job with no experience? You know what I'm saying? I'm saying I'll think about it, but then like he left Nike and then he left the New York Knicks, you know, to try his alma mater. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and then when for example, when I brought up that standard on a Facebook page group, people was calling me racist because of that. But I'm like, how am I being racist? I'm just stating facts.
No.
I'm just saying. I said to him like, I'm just stating facts. I'm like, I'm not trying to say that that you know what I'm saying, it's a standard. And then like, and then if he did, you know, if it whenever it happens, you know what I'm saying, I just wanted to be another chance to have another black coach. You know what I'm saying? Because like from experience, I think with Ron Cooper, it took us like 13 years to get Charlie Strong again. You know, for another black coach, I just don't want that again.
That's exactly where I'm at though. Look, we did hire another black man, and he was successful as hell, and he brought us some of the greatest times as Louisville Cardinal fans. We all rallied around him, because in the end, it's all about the wins and the losses. That's the bottom line. And you know, I think everybody's in agreement on this pod. We wanted Kenny to work out, no matter certain people were more critical than others. We all wanted Kenny to work out. For me, I wanted Kenny to work out because I wanted Kenny to get that praise that Jeff Brom was getting with the football program. So I wanted that exact same thing. I wanted that exact.
Makes a good point about you know, him leaving his roots and coming back to Louisville. And I said earlier, and you may not have been on here, but I think we did a bit of a disservice to him, putting him in a position where I feel like there was
we didn't. His friends did. Friends did.
When I say we, I'm talking about the university, the leadership, the alums, a lot of people around. I just don't think he was equipped to take on what we had going on at the time without experience. And I think that, like, at the end of the day, like, how would you turn that down if you're somebody who's an assistant, and when you can make millions of dollars more to come coach your alma mater and be the head coach? Like, how would you turn that down? Because there's people that say, well, he shouldn't have taken the job to begin with. Well, I don't know if I was in his shoes, I would have taken the job. I mean, good grief, how would you not? That's an opportunity of a lifetime from his perspective.
And just like people are like, well, why doesn't he just take a negotiated buyout? Like, he should
not. In my opinion, he should not.
Why would he?
Like, I would want all $8 million.
Yeah, like, if I'm him, I'm like, you got to pay me.
Well,
you gave me this buyout. That's your fault.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with that, because it's a lot easier for us from the all from the outside to say, yeah, he should do the moral thing, right? But if any of us were in that situation, if any of us were in that situation, we'd want every single cent of that. Yep. The difference is that when Kenny came on, he said that this was all about the program and reviving the program and how it was almost dead. And it's all about the program and it's all about the kids and how they tie into the program. Like, he made that very, very clear. So it comes off a little bit hypocritical. That's just me. You know, if it's all about, man, it's all about the alumni and the players and the future alumni, that the players I'm bringing in, and I want them to have all the glory that I've gotten, and, you know, I'm trying to get back, then you're telling me that the program's bigger than anything. And it's taking every single cent of money. You're not showing that. You're not. So you can't have it both ways. That's just the way it is. But again, I'm not hating on him for saying, hey, you better give me every single dime of that money, because the bottom line is, if any of us were faced with the situation like, oh, we could take a buyout of $7 million, or you're going to pay me the full $8 million and you have the upper hand, you're going to make somebody pay you that entire $8 million. Like, that's the way it is. Like, so it just takes a little bit of empathy. So like, I'm not even mad at Kenny. Like, I'm really not. I'm not mad at Kenny. I'm more mad at his friends that steered him wrongly. And honestly, and this is my opinion, again, this is my opinion alone, they manipulated him. And they made him get this job and guilted him into this job.
So
that's
and Desmond, man, I really appreciate you coming on here to give us your thoughts. And I think one thing that I'll kind of end with here is, you know, this is not just the University of Louisville problem. The NCAA, us, you know, as fans, as a nation, we've got to do better of giving opportunities and finding opportunities for Black coaches. Only 9% of, you know, NCAA coaches are Black, and the majority of our student athletes in basketball are Black. So that discrepancy right there, I think, to your point, has to change. And it's been a slow process of changing. It needs to happen quicker. And I'm hoping that as that process continues to change, we see, you know, more opportunities for Black coaches. And there's a lot of successful Black coaches out there. And I'm hoping that down the line, maybe our next coach
Jerome
can
Tang.
can be a
Shaka Smart.
successful Black coach here, because it should happen, and it needs to happen around the country more, for sure.
I like to hear Desmond's final thought, or at least
that's all I was saying, though. It just kind of hurt, you know what I'm saying? I'm just tired of the, you know what I'm saying, the double standard. It's like, you know what I'm saying? Why is it that we got to try so much harder, but we got the capabilities, we can coach too. We can do what everything else everybody else do. It's like, I see, like, it's not in sports, but it's in the business world too. Like, we have a double standard. Like, they think that we're not smart, you know, we're not this and we're not that, but so we have to try harder, you know, to show that we do have the abilities. And it's just something with the Kenny Payne. It's just frustrating because I really want to see, like, he show, you know, be a good role model to upcoming Black coaches. You know, you can do it. You know what I'm saying? You might take a long time, but you can, you know, do it and be successful. I just wish that Kenny was successful. I just want him to have how can I say? I would rather just him have, like, just enough time to prove, like, I guess, you know, it ended like the way it ended. I would say again, at least like maybe a third year. I'm just saying, if it was going in an upward trajectory, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Not like it is now, but if it was going in an upward trajectory, I wouldn't mind giving him a third year. You know what I'm saying? Then it probably would have, you know, went over the hump. But it's just, I say it the way it did, and just like they booing him, and all the people saying negative about him was like. And what he said last night, I got what he was saying. Like, as long as he true to himself, it don't matter about his job. He's just trying to make a difference in kids' lives. So I understand what he's trying to say with his comment. You know, It was just like, he's just trying to make a difference in people's lives. You know, I just wish him the best. I just want everybody to be happy, not this division we have in our fan base.
I respect the hell out of that comment, honestly, because when I met with Kenny, you know, in informal setting, and he had us in front of us, like, I definitely believed him in that it was a lot about the student athlete, right? I definitely believe that, and I do believe that, and I think that when you hear people like Bob Valvano, and you hear people like Mike Rutherford, and you hear you know, Jody, and you hear Paul Rogers, and all of them, they're like, we have nothing against the person. Like, I think Kenny is a good person. I really do. And I think that it hurts everybody to see that it's going the way that it does. If there was going to be an opportunity to change the trajectory, like what you're talking about, it was when we came back from New York.
Yeah.
And start playing the exact same, because that in the year and whatever, how many games that we've seen, 10 games now, that New York experience was a complete outlier from everything else. The way that they played, the way that they hustled, they actually did, whether they were doing it for that or not, they actually seemed like they were playing for the name on the front of the jersey.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And when they got back home, it was just all lost again, and they didn't capitalize off of it. So to me, that's a coaching issue. Like, it just is. I mean, it's up to the coach to get to the players, to get them to respond, to get them to play the way that you want them to, and the good coaches make that happen.
Hey, we've been going for about over 2 hours now.
Who's that about
Desmond,
this?
I appreciate you being on here, man. Appreciate you sharing that insight.
No
And
problem. No problem.
totally
No, thank y'all for
empathize with
having me
that.
because I was just like, it gets frustrating when you see like other. I'll be real quick with like we see other little platforms and they talk and they be like, because I told people about this a year ago. I'm not gonna say it was a show, but somebody was on the show on YouTube. I told them about like, you better watch because Kenny Payne might be on that short list because him being a black coach or whatnot, and they kind of brushed me off. I'm like, then I think about it. I was like, I try to warn them about it. You know what I'm saying? Because he's what
You
he's at.
won't get that. You won't get that here, man. I promise you.
Yeah, because I try to tell people about that last year, some certain show, but we had a little fan base or whatnot, and I try to tell them that he's going to be on if he's going to start winning like that, they're going to pull that leash on him. Like, oh yeah, what they kind of laughed off. I'm like, okay, I try to warn y'all. And then I thought about it today. I'm like, I try to tell them, but it just is what it is, though. But I'm glad you had me on there. It had me express my how I felt because it's just kind of frustrating to like not to how to say how I really felt without being called certain names because I was just trying to just tell people it's a double standard. And like with some colleges, when they get rid of the head coach, the black head coach, they kind of shy away from that for a long time because of how their coach did. And that's not all I was saying. But then people won't call me racist for that. I'm like, you just bring up the race card. Like, no, you're not seeing it from my lens. You look at my lens, you have a better understanding. But that's all I want to say.
You won't get that from us, man. And we appreciate you being on here. And hopefully you'll join us for some future episodes. And
I just subscribe to y'all. Wow, I'm talking. So I'll be tuning in or whatnot. I really want to thank y'all for letting me on here.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, Desmond. We appreciate you, man. Thank you.
No problem. Thank y'all.
All right, that was Desmond.
Yeah, and I do feel for him because you can tell he's hurting. He really wanted Kenny to work out for more reasons than just Louisville basketball. He wanted him to work out for, the role that he could play in social change and for the roles that he could have played as being a role model for other, young black men and women in the community. And that's very admirable because, he could have, if it would have worked out differently, he could have played, such a huge, significant part of the community. I could tell he's hurting because of those things. And I got to feel for somebody like Desmond right now.
Well, guys, I echo those sentiments. It is really late for me. I don't know who else has to be up early for work tomorrow.
Work from home, baby.
I'm gonna wrap it up for me. But do you guys want to wrap it up, or are you guys gonna keep going?
I'm down to talk about the portal guys for a few minutes if people want to stay on.
Yeah, if we want to talk a little bit more positive on a positive note, we can shift to football for just a little bit and end the show on a positive note.
The portal recruiting, I can't leave. You guys suck me back in.
Ashton Gelati coming back. I mean, how about that?
That's big.
That's the biggest news for me.
Yeah, that's bigger than any kid we can get in the portal. That's bigger than any kid.
We've been hearing that rumor for a long time, for a couple of weeks now, but it's one of those things where you hear this about everybody. Like we also heard that about Jawar Jordan, and he obviously decided he's going to go pro, which congratulations, well deserved. You're 24 years old. You've given us everything you've had while you've been here. Congratulations to you, Jawar. But Ashton returning, that was one that we were hoping was true.
The DBs coming back.
Yeah, there's rumors out there that the DBs are going to come back, and that's from various recruiting websites. I don't want to throw out information that I'm not allowed to throw out, but we hope to get some more guys back. Let's put it that way.
But I mean, Ashton. I mean, you're talking about second team All-American coming back to play another year. I mean, that's the biggest recruit we've had. I'm talking about him coming back. That's the biggest recruit we've had in 4 or 5 years, man. Him coming back for another year. So that's like you said, Connor. That's bigger than any kid we're going to get in the transfer portal.
And if we get Lacey and what's the other kid's name? The
Brooks.
Brooks kid from Bama. I'm gonna go out on a limb here. I'm gonna say we have a very, very, and throw the wink in there, good shot that we're gonna get both of those guys.
Yeah. I mean, sounds like Connor's got some inside information, but we do know that Lacey is down officially to Texas A&M and us. He just left Texas A&M. It's coming here starting tomorrow. And just to run through the list of guys that are going to be here, we got Victor Cutler, who's a offensive lineman from Ohio State.
Nah, I'm not too worried about him.
Yeah, we've got I don't want to pronounce this man's name.
The kid
wrong.
from Illinois State, or not Illinois State, Northern Illinois.
No, Duke's Peebles. I don't want to mispronounce his first name.
Aeneas Peebles.
We're gonna go with Aeneas.
Big time DT from Duke. You've got Ja'Cory Brooks, the Alabama wide receiver, who was fantastic 2 years ago. Obviously, Colin Lacey, who we've been talking about. I think he was third in the NCAA in receptions and receiving yards. Jalen Lucas, who we're familiar with, he kind of torched us.
Give me
when we
Lucas,
played
Lacey,
Indiana.
and Brooks. Woo!
And then Don Chaney from Miami. And then I guess the Northern Illinois kid, it has been added to the list. Was that right?
The center guard guy, I think he's going to end up playing center.
Awesome.
He had 2 penalties all year.
Nice.
Damn.
So that's a big time list. I mean, I think of our portal recruiting history, that might be the biggest single visiting weekend in terms of pure talent that we've had on campus.
And I don't
quite possibly.
And I don't think it's a mistake that he initially set it up to be like a skill player weekend. I don't think that was a mistake. He wants to show all those skill guys.
No. Yeah.
They can work together in the offense.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
I think they all have. I think all their skill sets and what they bring, like, play into each other 100%. Somebody was in the Discord earlier was showing, like, you've got Brooks and Bell and Lacey, like all of those players, you look at their size, you look at their skill set, you look at their speed, size to combo, like all of it just like it looks like a major upgrade in talent.
Greatest show on turf 2.0.
Absolutely. I think it's going to be a big thing.
The kid from Northern Illinois, it says that he is 6 foot 295 or 6'4", 295.
So he's on the leaner side.
Yeah, so he's definitely playing center.
Yeah. I don't know a thing about the kid. But to me, if I'm looking and you're bringing in a kid like that, you're saying that somebody like Madden Sanker's not ready, or is Austin Collins still on the team?
Austin Collins is playing guard, and this kid should, based on what I'm looking at, should have 2 more years to play.
Yeah. So, like, you're looking at, like, you're not recruiting over Madden Sanker, but you're just saying he's not ready to take the position next year. Maybe
Madden's moving to guard. I don't know.
Maybe.
Or maybe you move that kid to guard when Madden's ready next year. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big weekend for sure, man. I mean, that visitor list was really good, and the things that are being said, you got to feel really, really, really good about Lacey. And Brooks Brooks would be a major add. I mean, I can't undermine that enough. Like, I can't underscore that enough. That kid would be absolutely what we were missing opposite of Thrash this year. Like, somebody like Brooks is like what we're hoping Bell becomes in a sense.
And the two guys, Lacey and Brooks, their route running is going to be perfect.
It's insane.
The guy that they work out with at Atlanta, all he does is teach route running, and then off of that, he teaches the catching part. But route running comes first.
So I'm excited about that. I think we've got we're going to replace some guys. The tight ends, obviously, we got this week is a huge upgrade.
Huge.
That being said, guys, did you guys have anything else, or you guys about ready to wrap it up?
Honestly, I have. It's interesting because the way basketball went the last few days or last week or so, like, I kind of checked out on the football news even. So a lot of this has been new to me. So I'm glad that we actually touched on it because it actually helped me out a little bit tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, go ahead, Pat.
No, I was just going to say, my final thoughts, obviously a big weekend for both sports, big few days for both sports. And, I'm going to stick with the positive. I'm pumped about this. I was and Kyle was probably with me. The first few days of the portal, I was getting a little bit nervous because I wasn't hearing.
You two were freaking out.
I wasn't hearing.
I was only acting nervous just to create suspense and conversation on the Discord. I always believed. No, I really was a little nervous first week or so.
You were nervous.
I was nervous. No, I really was nervous. Just because I felt like it started a little slow. I guess all the hype you hear all this hype, and then all of a sudden, like the first 5 days or so, it's like hardly anything. And then, but I will say, and people probably didn't notice me say it, I said I won't really hit the panic button until about if we're in the middle of next week, which is now. I said that about a week ago. I said if we're in the middle of next week and we're not hearing anything more than what we've heard this week, I will hit the panic button then. Obviously, we get to this point now. As soon as we land those two tight ends, I was like, yeah, all right, it's legit. We're good. And then we also had Jolly as a third option if one of those two guys didn't commit. And it was like, yeah, we're good, guys. Like he gets it. Not that I didn't think he got it. I just didn't know if maybe these guys were being offered a whole lot more NIL that we didn't have, or maybe they were like, you got to think of it as a business. Maybe they're telling our staff they're really interested and they're leveraging. So all those thoughts are going. It's never like, oh, Coach Braun doesn't know how to recruit. He proved himself last year. Especially in the portal. I was just nervous that maybe some of these big fish we were told we were going to get in on were just telling us they were interested, so they go somewhere else and use us as leverage because we just weren't hearing a lot at first. But I don't have that. I don't have that fear anymore. We got the two tight
I kept telling you to be patient.
I told you I'd give it to the middle of this week, and I did.
I also,
hey Kyle, you just got to get old like me and Ash.
Well, and then we'll get that spring wave too.
Right now, because I'm still awake and we're 2.5 hours in the pod. So I feel about 80.
Well, and then I was told last night that we were closer to Cam Ward than you would ever think we were.
That is correct.
We were closer to getting the number one quarterback in the portal than anybody can even fathom.
That is correct. And unfortunately, it's like I've never brought it up because it's a what if that's not going to matter now. But and nobody will believe it. So it's one of those things you hear. And even when I heard that same thing, Connor, I was like, okay.
I think giving him a deadline to lock in was the first mistake.
Yeah, probably.
I kind of get it because if you don't give him a deadline,
I get it too. I get it.
And then you miss out on everybody else.
You miss out on him, and then everybody else go. Yeah, you miss out on everybody else because you miss him. And he's going to visit Miami now. You think we're going to compete with? I know about what we were said to have offered him NIL wise, it wasn't cheap at all, and I'm impressed if that amount is true. I'm not even going to repeat it. I'm just going to say if the amount I heard is true, I'm impressed. But Miami could still beat it because they got
it is very close. Yeah, it's very close to what is comparable on the quarterback market. Let's just say that.
Yeah, it was a substantial amount from what I heard. But again, we're probably not getting Cam Ward. Obviously, we haven't heard any word about him coming here to visit, and we've got a quarterback on the roster now, so I imagine that takes care of that. It's interesting though. It's one of those what if things that you hear about. Nobody will ever think it could have possibly happened. So it's if you bring it up, everybody's going to say that's not true.
Yeah,
right.
It wasn't going to happen.
But yeah, no, I mean the portal season has definitely been successful so far. Even though my original hesitancy after the first couple of days, and I think you'll see if we're successful with who I think we're going to get this weekend. I think the shift after this weekend will move to the defensive side of the ball, and particularly the secondary and maybe some linebackers. So yeah, no, I think the strategy has been absolutely on point so far with how Jeff has attacked this thing.
Yeah. And, like I was with Ash, in the sense that it was just the first week, we gotta give this some time, and we're starting to see it now. Recruiting is one of those things where if you start picking up steam, you can start parlaying that into more wins and more recruits, and as we've seen in other sports too. I mean, not to get off topic, but like Kentucky, for example, in basketball, good players like to play with good players. And, if they think you're going to win at a high level, it's only going to help them and their possible draft experience, and draft stock. So, I think we start getting some of these wins lined up. You get a player like Brooks, you get a player like Lacey. Possibly Lucas, and you get them lined up. You've got targets. You're saying we've got people on the board that are going to score points. You've got a quarterback that has a lot of ability if he can stay healthy. And you look at what we're returning on defense now. Things are shaping up pretty damn well. So
man, I know it's not going to happen, but the running back that was on campus today, if we got him too, good God.
Would have been nice.
August 31st could not come soon enough.
Closing time. It's time to like and subscribe
Speaking
to
of last
Third
calls,
Man.
Man, it's only 10:30. I don't know what you're complaining about.
Yeah, it's 10:30. You guys, I don't know what you guys are complaining about.
We
It's
need
10:30.
to exit before people's ears start to bleed.
Let's go ahead and give our final thoughts on the night, because we've been going for 2.5 hours now. So
yeah,
I'm sure people are pretty tired of seeing our faces. But Pat, what's your final thoughts of the night?
I mean, I thought what I was saying last time were my final thoughts, but I guess I'll follow up with, portal recruiting's going hard. Love it. I think we'll have a pretty set offensive side of the ball after this weekend.
Ross? Oh, no, you go last. I'm sorry. I forgot. My bad.
I'll take another 7 minutes like you did last night.
Connor, what's your final thought?
This weekend could be really fun, and the future of Louisville athletics as a whole could be really fun.
Absolutely.
After this weekend, depending on what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle, what do you think? What's your final thoughts tonight?
I really hope I can get a lot of work done tomorrow at the office.
Good luck.
Today was tough.
Yeah, it was.
And getting them out of the information and back channeled stuff, it was tough. And as soon as I started to lock in, I'd get something else and just completely. I mean, I don't know. I was a nervous wreck today. but that's partly my personality, and like I'm very impatient. So when things start happening, I'm like, okay, they're happening. When's it done? And that's how my brain works. But it does take time, and I think tomorrow we're going to get some clarification, I hope, on a lot of things with basketball and in football. I'm pumped about that. I'm kind of more casual about just watching how that plays out because I just think we have so many good things going there. Like I said, if you're new to the channel, you like what you hear, please like and subscribe. We are on every Wednesday, usually at 9:00, but like days like today when a game happens on Wednesday, we change it up. So thank you all for listening tonight. Appreciate it.
My final thoughts is just to kind of give some credit to what Desmond was speaking on. And Pat, you'll know what I'm talking about here. Like Ron Washington was an extremely successful manager for the Texas Rangers, took them to back-to-back World Series, and then was fired after the 2014 season. It's taken him 10 years to get another job. Baseball recycles managers
like crazy
all the time.
Yeah.
Like they're like, I mean, like I can't see any reason why it should have taken Ron Washington, a guy who took the Texas Rangers to back-to-back World Series, 10 years to get a second job.
Yeah.
So I do have to give somebody like, Desmond, when he voices his concerns about when will another opportunity arise and that kind of thing. Like, he's right. Like, and those thoughts should not be taken lightly. So definitely. I know we're all Card Nation. We just want the best for U of L. So let's try to help those that are hurting, and let's try to move on from here and realize that we all want the same things in the end. So
yeah, well
I'm
said.
going to say go Cards. Sorry, Pat.
I just say well said, man. Well said.
Yeah.
And Ross, I'll let you finish it up.
It's time for
I'm gonna piggyback off that, honestly. There has been, over the past 7 years, there's been a lot of split and there's been a lot of divide. And ultimately, when you're looking at what your enemy wants, is that they want you to be divided because the Kentucky State slogan is "United we stand, divided we fall." And, if we were all united together in a front, we're much more stronger and we're much more likely to have winning results than we are separated. That being said, my point is that we don't need to do any finger pointing going forward. Who was right? Who was wrong? That it doesn't matter at this point. It's not relevant. What's going to happen is going to happen at this point, and it's going to happen because those results provided consequences and repercussions. Okay, so what is important is that we come together, and if the move that we anticipate does happen, it means that we've had some major donors and boosters come forward and fork up a lot of money. Okay. And it's not just because it's self-serving and they're wanting what they're wanting. It's because that it's like what me and Pat were saying earlier. Like, this ties into the economic success of Louisville. Louisville is the tax hub of all of the state of Kentucky. When Louisville does well, the city of Louisville does well, the state of Kentucky does well. Okay. So there's a lot riding on this. So my point is that if this move is made and Kenny is removed as coach, we do have a responsibility as fans to get in there and go spend money, go out and support this team. Go out there and show your support, because that is your job. And I realize that not everybody is able to do that, but if you can, you need to go out there and do it. You need to go out there like we've done in the past when there's been coaching changes. You need to go out there and show the players the support, that you understand that it's not about them. You're not shitting on players. You wanted a change, and you wanted your voice to be heard, and it was heard. And if it is heard, and that change happens, then you need to go out there and do your responsibility. Get out there, go to games, spend money, go support the University of Louisville, go support your city, do everything that you can. So I will put everybody up to that challenge going forward. If this move is made, you need to get out there. I will be out there. My family will be out there. Okay. And there's some things that could be said on the flip side of that, but we're not going to get into that. This final closing arguments. So, if the move is made, get out there and go show these guys the support that they deserve. It's not all their fault. And let's do our part. Do our part. So that's all I got.
Awesome.
All right. Well, go Cards.
Go Cards.
Go Cards.
Go Cards. Go Kroger, and baby.